Most important thing, and yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
This is her third straight Euros win as a manager, her second with England, and Jamie O'Hara reckons she's got what it takes to manage in the Premier League.
She's very calm, she's collected, she's done the business at the highest level. Tactically, she gets things right. She knows when to make subs. All right, in tournament football, it's different. I understand. I get that. I think that she could handle it.
Later today, England's open top bus will travel along the Mall and finish in front of Buckingham Palace before the team lift the trophy. Transfer news now, and talkSPORT understands Everton remain interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan. They're also looking at former Gooner Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak has dealt Newcastle a massive transfer blow by telling the club he wants to leave. Plus, Eddie Howe's side are in talks with Southampton over a move to sign Aaron Ramsdale. In Rugby League, Super League clubs have voted to add 2 more teams to the competition for the 2026 season. The proposal, which is subject to conditions, will see the division expand from 12 to 14 clubs. Moving on to Rugby Union, Gary Ringrose has been ruled out of the British and Irish Lions' third test against Australia on Saturday as he continues to recover from a head injury. The visitors are currently leading the series 2-0. If they can get the hat-trick, will this squad go down as legendary, Joe Marler?
It's hard because the opposition was so poor. The first test was just... It was like, oh God, this isn't a test series. You want them to have a bit more bite about them. But if they 3-0 whitewash them, they'll go down in as one of the best. Yeah.
There's more on these stories at talksport.com.
Good morning, you're listening to Ade Oladipo and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT. We spoke about them yesterday. Morecambe, it's not good news. They have been suspended from the National League with their first 3 games of the season postponed. Has football not learned anything from the calamity that was Barry and Macclesfield? We'll discuss it a bit later. Meanwhile, Eddie Howe says he's not in full control of the Alexander Isak situation. Is this a saga that's set to drag on for the rest of the summer? Would Newcastle fans, on the flip side, be happy with Aaron Ramsdale joining? Looks like the Southampton goalkeeper could be joining on loan. Plus, we're going to be speaking to Tony Bellew, David Adeleye, Barry Hearn and Peterborough boss Darren Ferguson on this show, and be crossing to the Lionesses Women Euro Parade from midday. Gets underway from about 12:10. This is Ade Oladipo and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Morning, Simon.
Morning, mate.
How are you?
I'm fine. I was reading the Mail and looking at the article that's suggesting that Forest are going to attend Palace's Europa League demotion and bring a legal team there. Oh, they are they?
Yeah, that's a bit cheeky as well.
Yeah, mind your own business. Get on with your own challenges.
Did you own casual clothes? Like,
Yes.
do you have like this is casual, double-breasted?
Yes.
Okay.
Smart casual. Or casual.
What would you call this?
Leisure wear.
Leisure wear indeed. We did speak about...
It could be worse. You could turn in like Rigsby out of Rising Damp, which is Adam Smith does these days. He comes in with a pair of shorts on and some Espadrilles on.
Yeah, it's not the best, is it?
Not the best.
Not the best indeed.
Not the best.
No.
You know who Rigsby is?
No.
You've never seen Rising Damp?
Never. Can someone send me a photo of it? Can someone please? The whole gallery is shaking it. I don't think anyone's seen it.
What the hell's wrong with people?
Yeah, well...
Classic comedy from the 70s. Leonard Rossiter. You ever heard of Leonard Rossiter?
No.
How old are you?
44. 81.
What's the matter with you?
Well,
have you heard of the Beatles?
I've heard of the Beatles.
Right, so then why wouldn't you have heard of a classic comedy from the 70s?
Sorry. My comedy started at Only Fools and Horses.
Did you like 40 Towers?
Yes.
70s?
Yeah.
Right, anyway.
Anyway, good, great start.
Nice to see you, mate.
Nice to see you too. So how are you? Good?
Good. I'm all well, thank you.
Yeah? Busy day yesterday?
Yes, I tried to shake you off, but you kept on hanging around like the proverbial bad. In you came to talk boxing.
Yes, I did.
Duke was good yesterday, wasn't he?
He was very good, Duke, wasn't he? Very honest with his thoughts and opinions.
Yeah,
doesn't
he's very
hold back.
forthright. He's a brilliant speaker, and obviously the credentials of being a three-way world champion. He
Which
doesn't
is
pull any
always
punches.
forgotten about from boxing fans, yeah.
But that weight classes always were undermined in terms of people's attentions because it was always what was going on in the middleweights or the heavyweights and so on and so forth. And the divisions that don't get the attention, getting it more now because obviously boxing's broadened out. But what a fighter he was from a fighting family.
Incredible.
His nephew played for me at Palace, Leon.
Oh, Leon Mackenzie, who then went on to fight for the British title, won the British title, I think,
and had a successful career as a Premier League footballer.
Unbelievable that he did both.
Yeah, very much
both
so.
of those. Yeah, really good stuff. I think he does a lot on here as well, Luke Mackenzie. Great guy. All right, we spoke about it yesterday. Let's continue the conversation. Morecambe, we asked what's going to happen. The National League gave them until midday yesterday to basically show proof of funds. Can you continue to pay wages? Can you continue to run the club?
Have you got a plan for the ensuing 12 months? I suspect is as much part of it.
Yep, and they couldn't. So Morecambe have now been suspended. Their first 3 games of the season have been postponed. They've been kicked out of the National League Cup as well. Let's welcome him. We spoke to him yesterday. It's only right that we bring him in again today. Let's welcome in James Wakefield, former Morecambe director. James, the news that a lot of Morecambe fans were dreading. I mean, look, it could have been worse. It could have been better. But ultimately, it's the news fans hope to not hear that no one's come forth. We have heard nothing from Punjab Warriors, nothing from this Johnny Cato fella, which I'm starting to believe isn't a real fella. What's going on? What happens now?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on again, guys. The news wasn't a surprise. As you say, it could actually have been worse. It could have just been a straight expulsion. There's not really any silver lining in that for us, though, because the bigger situation is just the existence of the football club. It's not on Punjab Warriors or Johnny Cato to come forward. Punjab Warriors were bidding from the club, and we're hoping that they're still watching and might swing in again. We don't know who Johnny Cato is. He's just a name. The responsibility for speaking to you guys and explaining to the world what's going on is entirely the owners.
What if I'm a fan or just from the outside looking in? All my questions and my anger will be directed straight at Jason Whittingham here, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know what plan he has for the club. Is he trying to sell it? Because from the outside looking in, it's as though there is no sort of plan B here. It's just a case of, okay, let's see what the National League do and hope something just sort of magically appears to save this club.
I'm beyond trying to understand what Jason is thinking now. His actions have been irrational. His actions don't make any sense. They don't stand up to logical reason. So, yeah, I would love you or anybody else to get hold of him and get him to try and explain what's going on, because it doesn't make any sense.
Is there a reason as well? I tried them this morning myself, Punjab Warriors. I thought I'm going to give them a call and see what's going on. Like, it'll be nice to hear from them again, because they were all in trying to buy this club, and for the last week or so, they've been uncontactable. No one can get in touch with them. No one can hear from them. There's been no statements on their website, nothing. Why have they fallen off the face of the earth as well at the most important time for Morecambe?
I'm only speculating because I don't know, but I'd say that they probably just got absolutely sick to the back teeth of the situation of constantly being asked for more. Now, it could be that they've decided to take a step back from dealing with that, and they're going to come in and say, right, we're good to go. That is still a possibility. I very much hope it happens. But I don't resent or have any issue with Punjab Warriors' lack of communication over the last few days, because I think they've shown incredible forbearance to get this far, dealing with Jason.
Finally, on the players, again, we speak about the fans, the most important people. The players are important as well, right? They're not getting paid. 3 games postponed, Boston, Brackley, Scunthorpe. Surely these players are thinking it's time to jump ship. If the games are postponed and we're not getting paid, I mean, what do the players do in this situation?
The players, the manager, all of the staff actually of the club, the non-playing staff as well, have been incredible over the course of the last month. They've not been paid again for the months to come, and they've been professional throughout. They've trained, they've played pre-season games, we've been unbeaten in pre-season. They could very easily have said we're not playing for fear of injury, but actually they've been incredibly professional, and they've carried on as normal. Sadly, we had to cancel a pre-season game against our local rivals tonight, because I think that probably would have been a full-blooded encounter, and we wouldn't want any players to be getting injured in the situation they find themselves in. But as I say, it's not just the players, it's all the staff. Every single person who works for the football club has been incredibly professional throughout this period. And they've all been let down by an owner who isn't paying their wages and who isn't giving them any sort of vision for the future.
Yeah, that game against
James, I mean, you must know this fellow, right? And we spoke about it briefly yesterday about the idea that he wants to get a better alternative, most likely for himself in terms of the financial remuneration he can get. You've worked with him. I'm assuming you understand the level of money he's invested. What does Morecambe owe him, or what does he think it owes him? I don't mean morally, I mean financially.
So it's difficult to explain, but in summary, he's done quite well out of Morecambe over the course of the years that he's owned it, and he's done quite well out of other people outside of Morecambe, in particular Punjab Warriors, in terms of money that has flowed from either Punjab Warriors to Bond Group or from Punjab Warriors in the form of legitimate above-the-board loans into the club. So I don't think the club owes him a thing. I think it's simply a case of him trying to squeeze every last drop of juice he can possibly possibly squeeze out of it.
So why did he buy? Why did he take over Morecambe in the first place? Is he a Morecambe fan?
No. He and his business partner bought Morecambe. I think from a speculative perspective, it was available at a very reasonable price.
So the flip side of this,
and they then bought Worcester Warriors a couple of weeks later. So they ended up owning two sports organisations from having owned none at all a few weeks before.
So I'm assuming that Punjab Warriors lent money to Morecambe and put themselves in a position where they protected that money being loaned to Morecambe with a debenture of some shape or form.
You would presume that, Simon.
So that at some point they'll be able to get control if they want to, won't they? Because if that debenture is being breached by some form of non-repayment, they'll be in a situation to gain some degree of control over their own destiny, won't they?
I don't think it's quite as clear as that.
Well, if they were debenture holder,
but again, all of the things that have been negotiated between Punjab Warriors and entirely between those two.
But again, going to the personality of the man that you worked with, he will realise, unless he doesn't realise, that there's very little likelihood of any return if the worst case scenario comes and it drops into some sort of administrative receivership. The best outcome for him is what, do you think? I mean, I know you're wanting to tread carefully about what you do and don't say, so you don't compromise anything, because I'm trying to work out who these Punjab Warriors are and how serious they are and how good they might be going forward, because you might be jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. You know, it feels a bit like a Lawrence Bassini sort of thing going on in this situation with the fellow that was at Watford and Birmingham, maybe not quite as lunatic as him, but what is it? What? If he will realise, Jason, that if it goes into administration, he'll lose control of the situation and he'll be on the outside looking in with no real opportunities. So surely the best outcome for him is to find an outcome where Morecambe survives this particular moment in time. The league have done the least they can do, which is suspend it, which is give people an opportunity to breathe in a little bit and still find a solution before it becomes unredeemable. Is the guy coherently reasonable when he's thinking and understanding that the best way to avoid losing control is to not allow it to go into administration, not allow it to go into administration or into real jeopardy in existential circumstances, that he has to do something?
I think that's where my head has got to, Simon. I think he might well have taken leave of his senses. I'm genuinely not sure why he's operating as he is. There's no logical reason for it. And yet he seems to continue to operate like this. He seems to continue to think that there is a magic money tree. Oh, maybe tomorrow, maybe something's going to come in. It's not rational the way he's operating. It's no longer possible to explain it.
7 million in working capital injected directly into Morecambe FC to support player wages, operational cost and football infrastructure. Direct payments made with full knowledge and active encouragement of Bond Group and its sole director, Mr. Whittingham. They believe that they were on their way to owning this club. They've injected 1.7 million of working capital into something they don't have anymore.
Yeah, and they've done that in an entirely above board and very professional way. It's in the form of some equity purchases and then interest-free loans to the club. And they did that on the basis that they were completing the EFL's process and they were making sure that the asset was protected before they bought it. Now, you could argue that there was some naivety in that, because that effectively meant that they were helping to support the football club whilst waiting to buy it, and that was effectively helping out Bond Group. But it's true. The money flowed in the form of largely interest-free loans, And that's why it's very difficult to argue that they haven't got a very strong case, and they shouldn't feel very aggrieved at the situation, because having put that money in and having also previously seen money go to Bond Group directly, for which I can't explain why or how that happened, then Bond Group having agreed to sell and gone through the whole process with the EFL and the board's involvement to get that sale approved and sanctioned, then 2 days later tried to sack the board and decided to try to sell to somebody else. I mean, it's as simple as that.
This is going to get
money
legal.
And then he tried to sell to somebody else.
Well, to me, I mean, ultimately, I don't want to criticise an entity that I'm not aware of and what their motivations are. But if I lent somebody 1.7 million quid in some shape or form, I'd have some obligations upon them, i.e. that they have to fulfil their side of the equation. So I'm assuming that these people aren't silly, and at some point they'll be able to trigger some inherent obligation, unless they've just basically done it on a handshake. And they've done it on a handshake, then they're fools too.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting you to answer that question.
It's more of a statement than a question. Yeah. So what is it? What happens now, James? I mean, is it now just a cast in the net to anyone that has money in the Morecambe area to try and save the club? I mean, there is one person that I know has got a few $100 million in the bank that could come and easily save the club, and that's Tyson Fury. I'm being serious here. Is it? Because I mean, we are getting to a desperate situation. Again, Morecambe fans were thinking the club could go bust, could completely disappear from the football pyramid. I mean, can someone like Tyson Fury easily just have a conversation with someone and try and buy the club?
Well, anybody with a significant sum of money could come and effectively meet all the club's obligations, clear the debts out, and crack on. And they'd have a National League side, and there'd be a lot of damage to be undone. But equally, that could be done relatively easily if you've got a liquid owner and all the obligations are squared away. Then absolutely, that could happen. Alternatively, Punjab could come forward and complete the sale. I think that's still a very slim possibility, but it is still a possibility. The owner apparently is telling the world that he's trying to find alternative buyers, and various different people's names are getting mentioned, Donny Cato, whoever else, the Easter Bunny. And obviously that's what he's pinning his hopes on. Or, the worst happens, and actually, we end up becoming another Bury or another Macclesfield. There is some protection that the club has got. The JB Christie Trust means that the ground, the land that the club is on can only be used for football. It can't become a Sainsbury's. And therefore, I do believe that there is an opportunity for the club to come back a bit like a Bury or a Macclesfield. But we don't want to contemplate that. That's starting in the North West Counties League. That's undoing like decades of incredibly hard work to get to where the club has got to. But all of those things are possibilities at this stage.
It's a club that's been in existence since 1920, so we're talking over 100 years, which is incredible. James, appreciate you coming on. We know it's always difficult, especially to answer Simon's questions, but well done in doing so. Let's hope, who knows, Tyson Fury maybe makes the call.
I spoke to Tyson about it about 2 years ago.
What did he say?
Well, he was interested in it. He wanted to do it, or wanted to do something like that. And he was asking about the ideas of running a football club. Now, given the fact that Tyson Fury doesn't even pay his bets to Piers Morgan when he bets £1 million, I doubt he's going to put his hand in his pocket to buy a football club. Now, let's call him out. Let's say that Tyson Fury, the most prominent resident of Morecambe, that's got lots to say for himself and always talking about how he can help different people and different functions.
Here you go.
Here's an opportunity, Tyson. Put your hand in your pocket.
Yeah.
You've made a fortune. We've seen your latest set of accounts. You've got 175 million quid in assets.
And the rest.
Buy your football club.
Yeah.
Support it.
Yeah. It wouldn't cost 1% of your wealth.
Do something for somebody else besides yourself.
You're listening to Oladipo and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders. It's where the trade go. We're going to be speaking to our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, when we come back. A bit of breaking news that Danny Röhl has finally... Simply download the talkSPORT app and swipe between the stations. All right, let's welcome in our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, who's at Goodwood. I mean, what a gig he's got. Oh, he will be at Goodwood. Look at the smile. He's about to make his way up there. You've been on holiday for 2 weeks and now you get to go to Goodwood on your first day back. Some of us are lucky. Let's talk about Danny Röhl. Obviously, talkSPORT understands that he will leave his job as manager of Sheffield Wednesday. I kind of felt like he left his job about a month ago, but he will leave officially today. Bring us up to speed on this, because it does seem to be a mess right now at Sheffield Wednesday.
Well, I think that's an understatement, and I think a lot of non-Sheffield Wednesday fans are feeling a lot of sympathy for their supporters. Sheffield Wednesday, for me, one of the grand old clubs in English football. When you look at their history, have been allowed to run into a state of disrepair. There's talk that the main North Stand at Hillsborough won't be able to open for the start of the EFL season because it's not got the relevant safety certificates. The training ground has been deemed not fit for purpose over the course of the summer. There's been no official first team friendlies. A host of stars have left the club. Callum Patterson only yesterday deciding to join MK Dons and taking a step down in division to get away from Sheffield Wednesday. Players not being paid on time for 2 months in a row. And then you've got this Danny Röhl situation where it looked at the end of last season like he would definitely leave the club. There was a little bit of interest from Leicester and Southampton, but I think the big compensation package that he had on his head deterred them. Then he came back to work, albeit belatedly, for pre-season training because it looked like there was a takeover in the midst. That's not happening at this moment in time because I'm told that Shansiri, the owner, wants £100 million for the club, and obviously people are not queuing up to pay that kind of money. I think the fact Danny Röhl came back late for training didn't sit well with a lot of players. We reported at the time that Barry Bannon, in particular, one of the senior pros actually training with Wednesday without a contract, was not happy that he effectively missed the start of pre-season. But it is a mutual agreement, I'm told, that Danny Röhl has terminated his contract. Will get official confirmation from Wednesday in the next half an hour. Crucially for him, it means that compensation, which was as much as £8 million at one stage, is no longer an issue, so he is free to join another club. That probably won't happen immediately, but I think he'll have his suitors because despite what's happened this summer, he was the youngest manager in the EFL when he went in there. He's only 36. Obviously, he's battled crisis after crisis, kept them afloat in the Championship. So I think his stock is high, but this is not the ending I think that anybody really wanted.
In terms of what next for Sheffield Wednesday, not necessarily for Danny Röhl, is it Henrik Pedersen, who I thought was manager at the end of the season? Is it him that now finally gets the full managerial role, or is it them trying to look for someone else to come in?
Well, so did he. And I think this is another fascinating element of the story, that effectively when Danny Röhl decided he was going to carry on as manager after all, they had two bosses, because I think Pedersen only signed a new contract because the owner promised him the manager's job. So really Danny Röhl's position from that moment forward was untenable. I just hope that there's somebody out there who is willing to buy the football club and restore it to where it once was. But I also think the EFL are going to have to intervene sooner rather than later, because what we don't want on our hands is another Reading situation where they were very close to going out of business before eventually the EFL said to their owner, Dai Yong, if you don't sell the club by a certain date, then we're going to remove your shares.
Simon, it almost feels like we speak about owners more than managers and footballers on talkSPORT. Chansiri wants $100 million for the club. Look, he wants what he wants, right? I mean, no one can say he can't.
What he gets may be two different things.
Yeah, and it's people are valuing him at half of that, aren't they? Really?
Well, it's a realisation of commercial businesses are commercial businesses, and whilst we want to protect our football clubs as best we can because they're community assets, they're not immune to the rigours and vigours of the rest of the world's challenges of millions of quid. So it's difficult to be on the other side of it. But if you take on a football club, you take on a degree of responsibility. The balancing act is how do you protect yourself against the commercial realities of businessmen owning football clubs and the investment that goes into football clubs, and people that own businesses, own football clubs having different challenges in their own businesses that then create a situation where it puts the football club in jeopardy. The whole economics of football doesn't work. There is an argument to say, and people are going to be horrified by this, that the sustainability of 92 football clubs in the football pyramid is probably unrealistic, given the way that the distributions work. The independent regulator might resolve certain issues, but they'll create other problems, because if you start strangling the Premier League by asking it to redistribute, give free games to the free-to-air broadcasters and God knows whatever else they want them to do, all of a sudden you'll turn Harrods into Woolworths. because that and become a selling league because where they won't be able to afford what they've had before, which is this elite league. So you've got to get the balance right, which is governing and protecting, but not restricting buying. Because if you suddenly say to people, well, I want you can buy this football club, but I want you to put the next 2 or 3 years worth of wages into an account that the central bank will hold, all of a sudden you stop people from wanting to invest in the first place. So you've got to get this balance right. Mel Morris was worth hundreds of millions of pounds when he owned Derby and when he was running Derby and going after Frank Lampard and trying to get promoted to the Premier League. The circumstances change, Mel's financial position changes, and all of a sudden you move from someone that's very motivated to be successful in football to a bad owner.
Yeah.
And there are some bad actors.
Because of other businesses outside of football.
But there are some bad actors. The guy at Bury was an outright inveterate liar. And I spent time speaking to him to try and give him the balance of probability that actually he was trying to do good things. He wasn't. He wasn't trying to do good things, but those are the exception. They're not the rule. In this instance at Sheffield Wednesday, I've spoken to various people. I spoke to Turkey about potentially buying Sheffield Wednesday.
Turkey on buying Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah. I don't think he felt that his mate, who owned Sheffield United, had the nicest of experiences in Sheffield, and he described Sheffield in certain ways that I possibly won't say on air. But the fact of the matter is, it's a great football club. And Chansiri spent a lot of money in there, but he seems not to get the zeitgeist. The challenge is, if you open football up for business globally, you bring people in that aren't invested as you would like them to be. The exception to that, of course, is people like Sheikh Mansour. Yeah. But they have a different attitude. They're using football for different reasons. Yeah. They're doing it for an influence play and a soft power play and all that goes with it. So they will really make things successful. But it's a balancing act between, why does football have a different dynamic to any other business? And people will say because it's community, it's part of the heritage of this country.
Fans don't view them as businesses.
But they are, tragically. Yeah. And the reasons why people are investing in football clubs, the reasons why player salaries are so big, the reason why the broadcasters pay so much money, the reason why every single advertiser will hang its hat on every single commercial opportunity it can in football is because it views it as a commercial opportunity. And of course, on the other side of it, is us as fans. I was a fan. Just because I talk the language of business doesn't mean I'm not a fan. But when you've been an owner, you know the other side of the equation, and it's a miserable, hard, disappointing, disparaging existence where you go from a hero to a zero in a New York minute.
Sounds awful, doesn't it?
There'll be solutions, by the way, because if you look at it, despite the horror stories of what we're talking about, there's only a handful of football clubs that have gone out of business, and people say one's too many. But look at the businesses that existed 120 years ago in all different walks of life and see how many of them are out now.
Yeah, very do. Crookie, very quickly, James McAtee, a lot of people asking, what's the latest on him?
Yeah, I've just heard actually from various sources that Nottingham Forest have now made a £25 million bid for James McAtee. There was a scenario at the start of the summer where maybe Morgan Gibbs-White went to City and McAtee came the other way. We now know that Gibbs-White is staying, having flirted with the advances at Tottenham, but Forest remain keen on McAtee. They're not the only horse in this race, but Evangelos Marinakis, I think, is keen to strengthen the squad, and McAtee very much a top target. Remains to be seen if £25 million would be enough to convince Manchester City to do business.
Crookie top man, enjoy Goodwood. Yeah,
I'll do my best.
Smile. Yeah, of course you will. All right, up next, we want to hear from you. Phone lines are open. They're always open. 03717 22 3344. We just heard there about Sheffield Wednesday. We've been talking about Morecambe for the last week. Both clubs in dire situations. Simple question. How does football stop clubs going into the wall? How does football stop clubs going into the wall? Is it football governance? Is it more than that? Give us a call. 03717 22 3344.
Lionesses are gearing up for their homecoming celebrations today after their back-to-back Euros triumph. Sarina Wiegman's side were at Downing Street yesterday after flying home from Switzerland, but today they'll have the chance to celebrate with thousands of fans. The England boss says she's feeling a lot of love from the nation.
I feel so much respect from England and from the royal family too. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
This is her third straight Euros win as a manager, her second with England, and Jamie O'Hara reckons she's got what it takes to manage in the Premier League.
She's very calm, she's collected, she's done the business at the highest level. Tactically, she gets things right. She knows when to make subs. All right, in tournament football, it's different. I understand. I get that. I think that she could handle it.
Later today, England's open top bus will travel along the Mall and finish in front of Buckingham Palace before the team lift the trophy. Transfer news now, and talkSPORT understands Everton remain interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan. They're also looking at former Gooner Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak has dealt Newcastle a massive transfer blow by telling the club he wants to leave. Plus, Eddie Howe's side are in talks with Southampton over a move to sign Aaron Ramsdale. There's more on these stories at talksport.com.
Good morning, you're listening to Ade Oladipo Simon Jordan. Remember, with you until 1 o'clock. We are going to hear from Tony Bellew and Mr. Barry Hearn a bit later. Tony's always
very fond of Tony.
Yeah, good fan. Always good fun. Yeah. Always gets himself in trouble with things he says.
He does. He has his little agendas against people like Frank Warren. I don't think he particularly likes.
So I'm pre-warning you, Tony. This is your fault. If you say anything that gets you in trouble, it's your fault. We are going to go to the phone lines. Football at the moment seems to be eating itself. Morecambe in trouble. Sheffield Wednesday in trouble. I mean, I can go down the list of the pyramid of clubs that are in trouble. But as Simon says, it's not all doom and gloom, is it? I mean, you are talking a very, very, very small percentage.
There's no consolation to the clubs and the fans that are in the middle of these things. But invariably, most of the time, with a few exceptions, and I note that the exceptions are Bury, and we can name a couple of other clubs that have been close to that, but most of the time it gets resolved. And of course, you know, the only people that are really, really massive. The footballers will leave football clubs, get free contracts and go and get their money somewhere else. Yeah. And if they don't, it's because they weren't good enough to go somewhere else and you've got them in your club and that's the reasons why they're at your club.
They're stuck.
There's an element of that goes on. But it's the football fans who are so emotionally invested. That doesn't mean that this fan-led review that's brought in the independent regulator is a good thing. You know, it's a bit like, I suppose, in the scene of Life of Brian, where Jesus is on top of the cross looking down going, forgive them, Lord, they know not what they're doing. When they find out what regulation will do to football and how it will destroy certain aspects of it, they won't be happy with that either. But there does need to be some serious thinking, and I do think the guys that are running the EFL, they've got two very, very good guys, and I've never been a fan of EFL people, disliked them intensely a lot of the times when I was stuck in Football League meetings listening to some of the drivel that I was forced to listen to, but you've got two guys in there, in Rick Parry and Trevor Birch, and I've known Birchie for years, and I've got a lot of respect for Rick Parry.
Did a good job at Liverpool,
that know what they're doing, and they've actually bridged the gap between what was going before and what the regulator is apparently going to do, but we'll see.
Does the fit and proper test really exist?
Yes. Of course it does. Of course it does. But there's a lot of that. A lot of that is more about legitimacy of funding, because there's a big thing in this world about money laundering and people getting money from nefarious activities. So it's more to do with where the money's coming from. Also, the blueprint of how much money you've got going forward and what you're saying you're going to do. Now, of course, we've now moved to what should have always been there, which is real-time financial reporting. So people are now having to report things more early in the curve so that people can see. This is why the regulator idea was laughable, because the regulator's budget is 10 million quid. 10 million quid. Go and look at all the other regulators, Ofwat, Ofcom, Ofgem, whoever they are, who all of them are bleeding useless, right? Staffed and policed by the same sort of people, but their budgets are tens and tens and tens of millions, right? Now go try police 92 football club businesses on a daily basis with all the challenges and vagaries of the peculiarities that go with that on a £10 million budget.
It's impossible.
And it's impossible.
It's impossible. Text is coming in as well here. We got this one from Tony. Hi lads, how do we protect football clubs, enforce PSR and FFP? We'll get to that, Tony, trust me. Another one's coming. Alarm bells should have been ringing loud and clear at Sheffield Wednesday when in December I renewed my season ticket and it was cash only. Well dodgy. Christine, Sheffield Wednesday fan since 1974. Is that dodgy if it's cash only?
Well, it's cash only because ultimately maybe the credit card companies have suspended their relationship with the club. I'm surmising that might have been the case. Or they might have been in between credit card suppliers, because sometimes you can move from one bank to another for your PDQ stuff and it takes a bit of time. You wouldn't expect it, an organisation that's dealing with 25,000 on a weekly basis with turnovers of 30 million quid to not have a credit card provider. But there are perhaps other reasons behind it. But, who knows? Who knows, indeed. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Remember, phone lines are open. We are talking what's going on with football clubs right now. Sheffield Wednesday, not in the same trouble that Morecambe are in, but ultimately in some sort of trouble. Let's go to Michael, the Morecambe fan. Michael, look, disappointing news. You heard us there speak to James Wakefield, former director of the club. The National League have had their say as well. They've suspended Morecambe for the first 3 games. Give us your point of view.
It's devastating, really, because 30 years in now following Morecambe, I've got my lad up to be a supporter, and it's what we do at the weekend. I mean, I asked Simon because I've seen an article which has been done on the BBC which talks about the history of Jason Whittingham and accountability do the EFL have. Because it says on this article that out of the 25 companies that he has, 18 have either been dissolved, voluntary dissolved, put into administration or into liquidation or to receive action. And it also says that prior to them authorising him ownership of the football club, there was two...
So basically, let me just try and understand what you're saying here. You're saying, so you've had a look at the owner and 18 of the 23 or 24 clubs that he's...
have.
Yeah, okay, the BBC have had a look at the owner and 18 of the 23 or 24 clubs or businesses that he've owned have basically gone into liquidation or had issues. So how has he been allowed to buy a Morecambe? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It said were dissolved by compulsory strike-off prior to his takeover. So how have the EFL allowed him to even get the football club? And what accountability now should fall on the EFL that's put a 5-year-old football club into this situation?
It's a fair question, isn't it, Simon?
I don't know when.
You don't know.
I don't know when the fella bought the club. When did he buy the club?
He bought it in 2018.
So 7 years ago.
Not for sale.
Yeah. So the governance had become more sophisticated. So it would be curious to see, based upon what you're saying, and I'm taking that at face value what you're saying, and the same way you're taking at face value what the BBC have said, that there would be probably a more challenging and more rigorous fit and proper persons tests were less, which is of no consolation to you now. But the question then needs to be asked about these other guys coming in. Do you have a view potentially on these other guys that are potentially in the background that have lent apparently 1.7 million quid to this football club, seemingly on the back of a fag packet? I can't believe that's true. Do you have a view on these guys, the Punjab Warriors coming in? Do you have a view on whether they're going to be good for you going forward? And, they might be the only option, seemingly.
It does seem like the only option, but as you just said, to lend 1.7 million on the back of a fag packet, which is exactly what it appears to be, is, I mean, I'm not a business person, but I wouldn't lend, £1,000 to somebody unless I had some way of making sure I could get that money back.
So that's why it lends me to the conclusion. We're speaking to one of the former directors, and obviously all of these directors are coming up with their own version of events around what this Jason Whittingham is or isn't. He's either a destructive individual that has lost sense of reality, or he feels there's a better outcome for him. He's not looking at Morecambe, he's looking at his outcome. And the argument being raged by the other directors is he's had plenty of dough out of this, so he's owed nothing. Now, somewhere in the middle is probably the truth. If these Punjab boys have put 1.7 million, I would suspect they're not fools to be able to have 1.7 million in the first place. And there must be some obligations upon that money, which means that if their obligations aren't met, then they must have some recourse as to how they can get that money back, or get some degree of control over it. Now, you might not want to hear this way to rid yourself of somebody that at this moment in time has control. By going into administration, he no longer has control. It doesn't mean your club gets dissolved. It doesn't mean you lose your football club. It means that you can clear some of the debts, restructure. You might have to take some points penalties, but you come out the other side. So I wouldn't give up all hope, and I wouldn't lose your mind about what you're going to do on your Saturdays, because I would imagine somewhere along the line is going to be a solution.
Very quickly, to add to that, Michael, again, going on the Punjab Warriors website, they've said this, and again, this was on the 18th of July, our commitment, and it's in bold letters. We remain fully committed to the long-term future of Morecambe FC, its staff, supporters and community. Our actions have always been guided by the desire to protect the club's continuity and rebuild it on sound financial and operational footing. We understand how distressing and exhausting this situation has been for fans and staff. We share your frustration, and we assure you that we're doing everything possible to bring this matter to a fair and lawful conclusion. So I wouldn't give up hope yet.
He's not even a director, by the way. You do know that, don't you?
No.
If you look at Morecambe's latest accounts, Jason Whittingham is not even a director.
Strange, isn't it? Very strange. Michael, great call. Let's go to James, a Macclesfield fan. By the way, with regards to Macclesfield, remember they were wound up in 2020 in their Phoenix club, and now in the National League North for this season. So they are growing and growing, very similar to MK Dons, I would suggest. James, you've been through it. You understand what a lot of these Morecambe fans are going through right now. I guess the question is, how do we stop the bad owners?
Well, I've got no idea. That's what I wanted to ask Simon Jordan. I want to say I'm very sorry for Morecambe fans what's going on, because it's awful. But like I can speak for Mac. Like, even though we went bum, we've got a really good owner now called Rob Smirnis, a local guy, and he's sort of the club has been like reborn again. We're getting more fans and stuff, and I just wanted to ask Simon Jordan, as a fan, the players wasn't being paid, and as a fan, I stopped going to the home games, and I was going to the away games because he just kept taking the money. He wasn't paying the staff, and the fans were just wondering what Simon Jordan's opinion was on that.
Well, I mean, look, the way that you present the industry in the first place to stop these sort of things without making myself some sort of zeitgeist on it is, I suppose, you start with the premise that football clubs aren't allowed to lose money. And the governance of football, without being too dull, is that football clubs are allowed to lose a certain amount of money every single year.
How much money?
Well, it depends what league they're in. If they're in the Premier League, they're allowed to lose £38 million a year. If they're in the Championship, they're allowed to lose 13, 14. I don't know what the League One or League Two, I've never been down to that level. But the point is that they're allowed to, the governance suggests that there's a certain amount of money every single year that the club is allowed to lose and yet still retain its position of being under the regulations of the industry. Now, one thing would say is, why don't you get rid of that? Why don't you stop allowing people to lose money? But the other side of things is people invest in businesses, and sometimes they invest in businesses prepared to lose money in the short term, knowing that they might make it in the longer term.
How many seasons can you go on and do that for? So if a club's, a Premier League club, 38 million, as you said, was 38?
Well, it's 105 million over 3 years.
Okay, so
it's a 3-year cycle. So every year, 1 year drops off and another year replaces. So if you are, as an aggregate, over a 3-year period, allowed to lose 105 million quid. So if you lost 35 million in year 1, 40 million in year 2, and 30 million in year 3, so you lost 105 million, you're up against it. Year 1 drops off, and the next year that comes on was actually 25 million lost. You're now 10 million inside the governance. So it's a consistent rolling feast. And what they've now changed, of course they've sophisticated it. Of course, we're seeing at the very top of the pyramid, Manchester City have just taken the Premier League to tribunal and smashed them all over the place for associated party transactions and told them that your governance is illegal and restrictive and fundamentally wrong. So if you've got it wrong in the elite league, there's going to be holes in the governance because there's a moving feast, a change of ownership models. So what they've now done is they've sophisticated it. One of the things you do is get real-time reporting so that you can see problems coming not a year after you filed your accounts, because your accounts finish and you normally find your accounts 9 months later. You're now being asked to run it in a different way, so it's real-time processing. You've now got fit and proper persons tests, and the next thing you'll have is an element of people having to put bonds up to provide security around the club's cash flow. So if an owner falls off a cliff, there's at least another 6 months or 12 months worth of funding inside a football club, because the EFL don't want to run football clubs. How can you run a football club? How can the EFL administrative body run a football club whilst they're competing against 71 other clubs that they're supposed to be governing? They don't want to be sitting in there running football clubs. They want to make sure that football clubs can run.
All right, you're listening to Oladipo and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's deals at selcobw.com. Up next, we're going to switch gears to talk some boxing. Tony Bellew, former Cruiserweight World Champion, is going to join the show. Good morning, Ade Oladipo Simon Jordan with you until 1 o'clock. Remember, across talkSPORT today, we're going to be hearing from some of the biggest names in the sport at the talkSPORT Stars Fishing Championship. 32 competitors are going to take to the lake at the Tunnel Barn Fishery in Shrewley as they battle it out to become the 2025 champion. All of the money, very good cause here, will be going to the Willow Foundation, who help seriously ill young adults make precious memories. Luke Littler, Barry Hearn and Tony Bellew are just some of the names in attendance, and I'm delighted to say that Big Tony, is he still in a boot? I'm not quite sure. Joins us now. Is your Achilles healed yet? Or are you still just pretending that you're a tough man that can only walk on one leg?
Ade, you should not throw mud, mate, because sometimes it sticks. So be very careful with the next few words you say, my friend.
Happy to see you, Tony.
I am still in a boot. Oh, thank you very much. But we've missed you. We haven't been working together for quite a while. So we're massively missed those things.
Not bad at all. I didn't know you were a fishing man, Tony. I mean, I know you like to play a number of different sports, but fishing was never the one I thought I would see a former Cruiserweight World Champion do.
I am not a fisherman, mate. I'm just here helping Jess and Barry raise as much funds. I am going to be the boy who tries to take all the glory. They're going to catch the fish, and then I'm going to be the guy who drags them out with the net. But I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. It's not good. People like me and people from where I'm from don't really fish unless we eat them. So it's not my kind of thing.
Tom, we are still, I think, reflecting and dissecting what we saw a couple of weeks ago, Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. I mean, you've had yours say, everyone's had they say on it. Now, 10 days or so removed, how do you look at it still? Is it a case of Alexander Usyk was just a genius, someone that you've had in the ring, or maybe it was a case of Daniel Dubois not being as good as we maybe thought he could be?
I don't think this has got really anything to do with Daniel Dubois. He's never had the style, and I don't believe he's ever had the substance to match up to someone like Alexander Usyk. You know, when a master boxer gets in the ring with someone like Daniel Dubois, he has nothing more than a puncher's chance, and that's what he had before the fight. That's the only hope I gave him, and I said that will quickly evaporate within 4 rounds, that puncher's chance. Daniel's a dangerous, and when I say dangerous, I mean a very dangerous on-top fighter. He's a flat-track bully. I've seen his kind many a time come, and when he's landing shots and when he's getting some kind of success, he's always going to be in a fight, and he's always going to keep swinging for the lights. But when it's not going his way, and then when he doesn't feel like he's landing anything, and when it's getting really, really tough, he's done. And there's no other way to explain it. That's my opinion. I'm not going to change it for anybody.
But wouldn't that
be the same? All the credit in the world.
Tone, but couldn't you make the same argument for Anthony Joshua, who you're a big admirer of? Couldn't you make the same analysis of Anthony Joshua? He's a great on-top fighter. When he gets it stuck on him, he don't like it either.
Yeah. To a certain extent, but we've seen him climb off the floor. So we've seen him against the likes of Vladimir Klitschko when it wasn't going his way in a genuine 50-50 fight, where he's been hurt, rocked on numerous occasions, then he comes back. We've also seen him in fights with the likes of Andy Ruiz. The first time he loses, the biggest shock that I can remember in our era, him losing to him. So I think we've seen him wobbled and rocked on multiple occasions. The one against Dillian White where he gets hit with the left hook early in the fight. There's multiple occasions, Simon, that I can make for Anthony Joshua where he still stays in there. You know, we've seen him take a pounding off Usyk in the first fight. In the rematch, he still gets wobbled a couple of times and he still gets hit, but he refocuses and goes again. You know, the second fight with Alexander Usyk is questionably the hardest Usyk's been pushed. After 10 rounds, I've got it level in the rematch. So I think they're two completely different fighters. I think the mindsets are completely different. Don't get me wrong, they've both got massive strengths, but I just feel Anthony Joshua has shown that there's no quit in him. And I don't like using that word, and I don't use it lightly. And I'll say it again, I don't like using the word, but what do people want me to do, Simon? Do people want me to lie? I'm paid to do a job. I'm paid to give an analysis and break fights down. I gave him all the credit in the world when I wrote him off. I've wrote him off on a number of occasions against Jarrell Miller. Well, I didn't actually. I thought he beat Jarrell Miller. I wrote him off against Filip Hrgovic. I wrote him off, you know, in the AJ fight, and he done amazing. And I gave him all the credit in the world. So, as you know, when you do really well, the plaudits have to come, and I give them out. But when you sit down and sit on the floor and look at a referee counting and don't get up, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to lie and say, oh well, you know, he didn't get the rub of the green? Well, he did. He's there looking at a referee count. When a man's looking at a referee counting, get up. Don't watch him count. Get up. Let's go again. And when you've got the punch power he's got, you should get up.
Tone, on that, I did speak to Frank Warren about that last week. This is what Frank Warren had to say.
Well, Tony Bellew's been a hater from day one with Daniel. He got knocked down twice. You know, in one hand, everybody's saying Usyk's a modern day great. What great punches he threw. And on the other hand, saying why didn't he stand up after getting caught with these two phenomenal punches, which he did after one of them, got up and got knocked down again. What do you expect? The referee counted him out. He walked back to the corner. That was it. Why did he walk back to the corner? Well, where is he supposed to go after the referee stops? Go to a neutral corner or go to Usyk's corner? What planet are all these people on? You know, it's just so pathetic.
I actually, listening to that, and Tony, look, your reaction to it, but listening to that, I think what Tony's trying to say, and I think what a lot of people are trying to say, that, and we said it yesterday on Talk Boxing, if he got up at 10 that quickly, could he have got up at 7?
Yeah, but Tony knows I'm more in his camp. I think that's mischievous to play that clip to get a rise out of Tony.
I know, no, Tony doesn't need to get a rise.
I think it's. I think Frank is defending his he's defending his guy, isn't he? That's what he's doing. He's acting the role of promoter.
He is.
We all have questions. Tony, where does Daniel Dubois go now? Do you think he can win another world title back, Tony, and without Usyk being in the mix?
Yes, I do, 100%. Daniel Dubois is always going to have the power. Like I said before, he's a flat-track bully. When he's on top and he's having any kind of success in a fight, he's never going to look for a way out. Listen, I give Frank Warren all the credit in the world for getting his man home advantage. That can't be looked away from. That can't be shattered. When Frank believes in his fighter, he backs him, and he backed Daniel Dubois. Now, I'm not writing Daniel Dubois' career off because he's a young fighter and he can learn. But I'm sorry to say, guys, you can't change character traits like he has. It's either in you or it's not. I'm sorry, there is no way of getting around it. You know, he's not going to wake up tomorrow and become a master boxer who's very elusive. Just like, you know, somebody, other fighting division, you're not going to wake up and have his power overnight. You're given a certain set of attributes in your career to use and deal with, and you've got to use them to the best of your ability. If anything, I really feel for Daniel Dubois. I really, really do. I've seen the nonsense going around this gathering and what was going on. He's in absolutely no control of that whatsoever. And I think even the likes of Frank will be absolutely furious that happened and took part and on his watch, basically. This man has gone and paid an absolute fortune to give his guy home advantage, and then you've got some fella inviting a load of fellas round to wish him well before the fight. And I don't care if this was done before the AJ fight or not. That is not ideal preparation in any way, shape or form. Do I think it played the part in the fight? Not really, no. But do I think he was in the best frame of mind walking to that stadium with 70 people behind him and his father screaming he's not going in unless everybody else comes in? That's not ideal. That's an absolute joke. That's a sham. And you should not be walking to an undisputed world title fight in that frame of mind and in that kind of attitude and for your life. He's coming off the greatest victory of his career against Anthony Joshua at Wembley. He should not be walking into an arena with 70 backslappers giving him all his confidence. He should have all the confidence in the world from his brilliant coach in Don Charles and everybody else in this team. Your team is all that matters. The outside noise is irrelevant. Social media is irrelevant. Backslappers are irrelevant. All that matters is what your coach needs you to do when you get in that ring and what your game plan is. That's all that matters. So for what that boy's been through, I really feel for him, and I hope Daniel Dubois comes back. I just wanted to correct before we go, I'm not a hater of Daniel. I'm not a hater of any fighter. I say what I see, and some people don't like that. I have no problem. Frank's all well and good when I'm saying Nick Ball's the most exciting fighter in the country. Frank's all happy when, you know, I'm saying the likes of Hamza Shiraz is going to defeat Edgar Berlanga against the odds when he's not odds on. I predict these things, so I'm not a hater of them. But all of a sudden, when I call Daniel Dubois for what he's actually done, not my opinion, what he's done, and when I've took the punches I've took, I can make them statements. He actually can't, because the only punch he's ever took in his life was probably off Mike Tyson in a hotel room. So, you know, he can't tell me anything about what a fighter can take and what he can't take. I've been there. I've got the T-shirt on multiple occasions. He knows. He watched me climb off the floor twice against Owen McKenzie after being splattered flat on my face. He watched me climb off the floor, and what did I do? I keep fighting. I keep fighting because that's all I know. That's what I do. So, listen, like I said, I feel for a part of me does feel for Frank as well. I shouldn't say that, but I do, because he's the man who's expended an awful lot of money into Daniel Dubois, and it's a kind of slap in the face for him, to be fair, to have it end the way it did and in the manner it did. So, all's well that ends well, guys. Listen, the main thing is you're having a great show, and just before I go, one more thing, boys.
Here we go.
Up the toffees. That's all that
interesting
matters.
you say that.
It doesn't matter how much money. It doesn't matter how much money you're not spending, Addy.
He's got a red top on it, he's saying.
Addy, it doesn't matter how much money your lot spend.
Got a break, Tone. I've got a break. We've got to go to the news. We've got to go to the news.
PSR's going to get you, lad.
Turn him down. Turn him down. All right, the Lionesses are taken to the streets of London today for a parade to celebrate their Women's Euros triumphs, and we're going to be crossing there next.
Lionesses are gearing up for their homecoming celebrations today after their back-to-back Euros triumph. Sarina Wiegman's side were at Downing Street yesterday after flying home from Switzerland, but today they'll have the chance to celebrate with thousands of fans. The England boss says she's feeling a lot of love from the nation.
I feel so much respect from England and from the royal family too. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
This is her third straight Euros win as a manager, her second with England, and Jamie O'Hara reckons she's got what it takes to manage in the Premier League.
She's very calm, she's collected, she's done the business at the highest level. Tactically, she gets things right. She knows when to make subs. All right, in tournament football, it's different. I understand. Yeah. I get that. I think that she could handle it.
Later today, England's open top bus will travel along the Mall and finish in front of Buckingham Palace before the team lift the trophy. Transfer news now, and talkSPORT understands Everton remain interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan. They're also looking at former Gooner Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak has dealt Newcastle a massive transfer blow by telling the club he wants to leave. Plus, Eddie Howe's side are in talks with Southampton over a move to sign Aaron Ramsdale. In Rugby League, Super League clubs have voted to add 2 more teams to the competition for the 2026 season. The proposal, which is subject to conditions, will see the division expand from 12 to 14 clubs. Moving on to Rugby Union, Gary Ringrose has been ruled out of the British and Irish Lions' third test against Australia on Saturday as he continues to recover from a head injury. The visitors are currently leading the series 2-0. If they can get the hat-trick, will this squad go down as legendary, Joe Marler?
It's hard because the opposition was so poor. The first test was just... It was like, oh God, this isn't a test series. You want them to have a bit more bite about them. But if they 3-0 whitewash them, they'll go down in as one of the best. Yeah.
There's more on these stories at talksport.com.
Good morning, just gone 11 o'clock. Remember, we'll be until 1 o'clock. Ade Oladipo and Simon Jordan in for Jim White. I am for the next few days. A reminder as well that we are streaming live on YouTube and your smart TV. For all the info on how to watch the show, just head to talkSPORT.
Because it is remarkable.
It's incredible.
And he will quite happily tell me he's got £1 billion business because he likes to tell me every time he sees me.
Yeah, probably say it in about half an hour as well. All right, let's pick out who's been the real deal this week with Selco Builders Warehouse.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
And the real deal, of course, is the Lionesses after they won the European Championship on Sunday, back-to-back. In an hour's time, they're going to be taken to the streets of London to parade the trophy. And I'm delighted to welcome our Lionesses host, Adrian Durham, who's going to be covering it for talkSPORT. Ade, you're there at the start of it. What's it like already? Crowd starting to build up, atmosphere starting to get a bit loud? Oh, it is. Look at that behind you.
Buzzing with people. It's incredible. I mean, the amount of people, they're all pouring away from Charing Cross, from Trafalgar Square, coming down the Mall, trying to find a great vantage point behind me. That's along the Mall, obviously, towards Buckingham Palace behind me. The buses are just to my right, out of camera shot. 2 open-top buses. The ubiquitous Jill Scott is already on board one of them, even though she didn't play a minute at these European Championships. Of course, a winner in 2022. So she's there already. We had a big cheer from the crowd, and why not? The fans are absolutely loving it. I've seen so many football shirts, Lionesses shirts. I've seen so many homemade banners as well. There was one which a little girl was holding saying, young girls inspired by Lionesses, and it was just a simple message that I think will mean a lot to the players when they actually soak in exactly how the public feel about this. There's some turnout already, and there's more to come.
Yeah, I think once they see the reception and the numbers that we're hearing, thousands upon thousands, I think they're going to be really excited about what they've done for the country. They went to Downing Street yesterday as well, didn't they? Obviously, the Prime Minister isn't there, but the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, was there as well. So they are doing everything you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just one little point, and that's that Jess Carter can't be here. Her team in America has got a game on Saturday, so she's already flying over there to prepare for that. There are others who play in the NWS, I know, but she's dedicated to the cause. She loves playing football, so she wants to get back and play for her team, Gotham City. There's others who play in the States. Esme Morgan, for example, plays for Washington Spirit. They don't play till Sunday, so she is here for the parade. But unfortunately, Jess Carter, who I know would have got probably one of the biggest cheers of all from this crowd, she can't be here. But that's the professionalism. These are professional footballers, so she's chosen going back, preparing for a game with her club over the celebrations. You can't really knock her for that. That's what professionals do.
Yeah, on that, a lot's been spoken about the mentality under Sarina Wiegman of these players, and I think Jess Carter probably sort of heightens that and shows that, doesn't she? I mean, obviously we know what she's been through, but for her to play the way she did in the final, considering what she has been through throughout the tournament, and now, as you say, go to America, I mean, I guess that just shows the mentality again, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And in the break between 90 minutes being up and extra time on air, I actually highlighted Jess Carter. She put in, there was one particular block, there was one crunching tackle in the second half, and you have to be at your best if you're going to keep Spain at bay, and she really was at her best. That was no doubt her best game of the tournament in the final. She was fantastic. So yeah, it's a shame she's not going to be here, but I'm sure they'll all be celebrating for her in spirit, and there'll be a big cheer for her nonetheless. I think the other thing to say is this thing about proper English. I mean, it can be misconstrued if you like, but I think they've all done it in a heartfelt way, in the right way. But there's loads of different meanings to it, and each player and Sarina Wiegman herself, they've come out with different interpretations of what it means. Whatever it means, it's absolutely worked for this team, because at times they looked like they were out. They'd been knocked out 3 or 4 times of these Euros. They've come back home with the trophy again.
Final one, before I let you go. 4 England players were picked for the team of the tournament. Hannah Hampton, Alessia Russo, Chloe Kelly as a sub, which is very, very rare, and Lucy Bronze. Would those have been the 4 that you would have picked?
I'm hoping Michelle Adjumang is on the bench for that team as well, by the way. Yeah, probably. Yeah, Lucy Bronze, in terms of her defending, we discussed it a lot during the tournament, and sometimes left a little bit to be desired. She wasn't necessarily at her best, but in terms of spirit and courage and all the heart she put into it, you would want her in your team, no doubt. Hannah Hampton being the keeper, there's a number of contenders there. Not unhappy with that at all. I thought that Jennifer Folk, the Swedish keeper, was absolutely magnificent. The Spanish keeper in the final made some great saves, especially a couple of the penalty saves. So isn't it great to see? It's been one of the criticisms in years and decades gone past that in women's football the keepers are no good, and here we are discussing which of the keepers was the best. Hannah Hampton, can't argue with it. I think her distribution is what gives her the edge over the other keepers. Remember that long raking pass through the middle of the pitch for the first goal against the Netherlands? Absolutely sensational. Russo latches onto it, plays in Lauren James, scores an absolute beauty. Hannah Hampton started all that, but doesn't necessarily get the assist. In terms of Alessia Russo was like 8 or 9 out of 10 every game. Got a couple of goals, 3 assists. Her numbers back that up. She absolutely deserved to be in the team. And Chloe Kelly, in terms of the impact she had, yes, she was on the bench, but she was happy to be on the bench, which meant that she was a good team player. There was no stomping around. There was no stropping about it. She wasn't just staying at home because she wasn't in the 11. She stayed on the bench, was happy, a good teammate, came on and absolutely made an impact. Proper England icon, Chloe Kelly.
Hey, appreciate you. Thank you very much. We've got a full team at the parade. Angelina Kelly, we're going to hear from her later as well. The great Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, we'll speak to her as well. All right, that was our pick for this week's Real Deal. It was only one pick, wasn't it, really? It was Selco Builders Warehouse. For latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch. View online at selcobw.com.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
All right, you're listening to Oladipo and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. Up next, we're going to be discussing Pep Guardiola's comments that he was delighted to have failed last season. Good morning, you're listening to Ade Oladipo Simon Jordan with you until 1 o'clock, just gone 15 minutes past 11 here on Tuesday morning. This is going to be very interesting, this. At talkSPORT, wait till you hear this, Simon. Oh, tell me if you believe it's true or not. We polled over 5,000 of you at the dugout to answer our office debate. What is the nation's second favourite sport?
Yeah.
The results are in, and we can announce the clear winner is...
Cricket.
Do you know that already then?
No.
So someone's obviously told you the answer. You wouldn't have said cricket.
Because I would think that ultimately cricket is a high-profile sport, and also we're playing in the middle of a series. So when you answer questions that are very prominent, I'm surprised it's not boxing, but I'm not surprised it's cricket, because I've seen in the recent weeks we've been doing this a couple of times, and a couple of times it's come out that way.
I'm not going to lie, I'm very surprised. Cricket is the country's second favourite sport. 26% of the voting was cricket. Boxing was second with 11%, and rugby third with 10%. When we get involved, go to talksport.com/dugout and change it, because boxing should be number one.
I mean, Luke had done a vox pop on shows and stuff like that, and one of the things that he had found out, the producer of this show, was that the audience wanted to hear more about cricket.
Really?
Yeah. There's some great voices out there, I mean, David Lloyd's a great voice. I mean, I did an up front with Stuart Broad, who was brilliant.
Great.
We had James Anderson.
Speaks really well.
Yeah, he does. You know, he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
And, you know, James Anderson came in the studio and he was very interesting. And a couple of years ago, we had Mike Brealey in. Younger people won't know Mike Brealey, but he was the England captain when they won the Ashes in 1981, both from Ashes. And he was just a brilliant tactician.
Yeah, very good. You're a cricket fan. He sounds like you're a cricket fan.
I like my cricket, yeah.
Oh, is it your second favourite sport as well? What's your... Is football your number one?
Football.
Go on. So
paddle tennis.
What?
Boxing.
Wait, list them correctly, go on.
If I were to put it ranking in order,
1 to 5.
It would be boxing first now.
Boxing first, football. Don't say paddle.
Paddle tennis.
You dare.
Tennis. Cricket.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
I like most sports. I love that. Athletics.
It's great, wasn't it?
I think sport's such a wonderful thing, and it needs to be encouraged more in society. Young kids need to do more sport.
Yeah, I wish you can get involved in athletics. I think it's dying a death in this country.
Well, if Michael Johnson can't get it going, with respect.
Yeah, that Grand Slam track thing. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? All right, let's talk Man City manager Pep Guardiola, who has reiterated his plan to take a break from football when he leaves Man City, and suggested, by the way, it could be for many years as well. Guardiola, now 54, has been at City since 2016. But during last season's slump in form, signed a new contract that will run until 2027. He said this is interesting. I'm delighted to have failed. I love failures. In this society where everything has to be perfect, we have to post your food on Instagram. Oh, how good, how happy am I? Every day we have to prove that we're happy. Well, yes, I'm sad, I fell and I lose, so...
He's bloody right.
He's right, isn't he? He's actually very right.
On the money. This society, this concocted world that we live in, where people show they're living their best lives for other people to look at, showing everyone how successful they are, taking pictures of themselves, influencers suggesting lifestyles that they don't have for money that they haven't got. All of these things I don't think are healthy for the psyche of younger people. When I grew up, you know, as a kid, long time ago, I grant you, but you know, you didn't get to see things the way you see things now. So people have automatically assumed things. That's why we've got an entitled generation coming up that don't have the resilience to overcome adversity, because they've already assumed that they're entitled to these things. When it comes that they don't actually get them, they can't deal with the adversity, and all of a sudden we have to deal with the reality of, oh, it's a mental health issue. Some things are legitimately mental health issues. Splitting up with your boyfriend is a tragic moment in time, not a mental health issue. It's a situation where you have to overcome. You're not very happy at the moment in time. Don't prescribe them drugs, doctors. I think he's absolutely right. I mean, he's doing it tongue-in-cheek to some extent about the expectations upon him. And I think a lot of what Pep says is very thoughtful, and some of it not so thoughtful. I think he's a brilliant football manager, no doubt about it. And I think the manner in which he communicates with his players is intriguing, because if you take stock of some of the things that you've seen him say, albeit in the fly on the wall stuff, it's a very different dynamic that you would anticipate. He rules in a certain way. It's almost like a democratic autocracy, which seems like a juxtapose, an oxymoron, which is, you know, the democracy and autocracy in the same breath. But there is an element of it. He flicks between being able to implore his players to do as they're told, to ask them and persuade them to do what he wishes.
Yeah, he seems to.
But that's the best way to do it. That is what man management is about. People think that, and people used to think it to a lesser degree of me, is that there's one way of dealing with things, which is putting up someone against the wall and concentrating their minds. Yeah, you've got to have that in your locker, but you've also got to be able to understand what makes everybody tick, because an individual has to be treated on that level and then brought into the collective. So you have to, if you're going to give somebody a terrible telling off, I was going to use a different word, but we're on air. You're going to give somebody a terrible telling off, you better know how they're going to receive it. Because if it makes you feel better and you've vented your spleen and you've achieved nothing and you've lost that person, what was the point of it? But some people need it. Yeah. Some people need their minds concentrated. Some people need persuasion and encouragement and development and individual focuses. And I think Pep Guardiola, the big thing about football management isn't about tactics and setting players up on a field, because in the end, the best players in the world should know what to do in situations. It's about managing these players and what goes on around them and extracting from them what normally is taken away from them by money, which is motivation. Because money diminishes people's necessity to want to do things. And all of a sudden, these players are like islands, financial islands in their own right. They can fly where they want, go where they want. There's nothing beyond their reach in terms of economics. And they get it at a very young age. So how do you keep them on track? How do you keep that pilot light on and that fire burning, that propensity to go through the levels of endurance or challenges or keep on raising their game?
Is that what he's struggling to do now? To an extent, third last season, it was so strange to see Man City not win a trophy, because they always seem to win anything.
I'm glad they didn't. I don't want a monopoly of football. I don't want any one team to win everything. I don't want it to be a formulaic outcome, and it's becoming a little bit more like that. I mean, it was surprising to see the decline and the inability to wrestle it back.
Yeah,
but now we'll see. Pep Guardiola, lots made of the fact, well, it's easy to manage if you're Pep Guardiola. You've walked into Barcelona with the best players in the world. You rocked over to Bayern Munich on the back of them winning a treble. You've come into Man City, you've been given more money than a print press can throw out. But that's one-dimensional thinking, because you've still got to manage these situations. Oh, stick him down at Accrington Stanley, see how he gets on. That was always the thing that was said about Alex Ferguson. And there might be something in that. But then stick the Accrington Stanley manager in Man City and see if he can turn him into a team like that. He probably couldn't. So there's a unique set of skills, and I think that his way of looking at things, his outlook, and his style of play. I preferred the Liverpool style of play. I loved the way that Klopp played, the rock and roll. I mean, I remember watching Liverpool beat Roma 5-1 in a.
You know, when you hear the argument, I don't know if you do, but it seems to come across my social feed quite a lot, that Pep's ruined football. That we're seeing teams trying to do this Pep play out from the back situation.
But people want to be lemmings. That's up to them, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, there is an element of the current vogue, and you listen to the old pros talking about, what is a low block? What is all this terminologies? You know, we did all this when we were playing, and all of a sudden the buzzword is this, the buzzword is that. I mean, look, good footballers can play good football, and if you believe that building out from the back is a way to do it, you better have the footballers capable of doing it. And if you're stupid enough not to have the footballers capable of doing it and ask them to do it and then wonder why the outcomes are bad, then that's on you as a manager. And most of them change their mind in the end. And we'll see how Russell Martin, who gets a lot of slack or criticism for the way that, not slack, it gets a lot of slagging off, I suppose, for the challenges that he had at Southampton and refusal to change.
Yeah,
there's a balance between, his argument would be, well, if you changed so quickly, you didn't believe it in the first place.
Agreed.
No, you have to adapt. It's a bit like communism. You regroup, you find your strength, and you take over the world. And that's what football needs to be.
But you have to stick to your principles, no? Well, your style of football has to be a style of football, doesn't it?
To a point. But you could, if you could, in a situation where your principles aren't working for you, and it's like saying you've got to have integrity. If you walk into a room and you're the only person in that room with integrity, you're going to walk out with your backside hanging out of your trousers, and everyone else is going to walk off with a no. So you've got to know the rules of engagement. And whilst your overriding principles are that we want to play a certain brand of football, if it's not working for you, you haven't got the talent pool, you haven't got the ability. But the most important thing is to get to that point where you can have that. That means staying in the Premier League, because you get another raft of money coming in the following season. So you perhaps have to compromise a little bit. You gain nothing in the longer game by compromising all the time. But you have to find a solution.
You have
to
be flexible.
Yeah,
you have to be flexible.
Adaptable.
Yeah, adaptable is the right word. You are correct. What do you think Man City will do this season? I think a lot of people seem to think as Liverpool and Arsenal. For some reason, Man City seem to be on the outside looking in rather than being one of the favourites for the first time.
Well, I suppose that's a classic. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And now there's a new sheriff in town in Liverpool. We'll see. I expect Man City to be a force. I don't expect them to be not in all the competitions, and I hope that in in a high tide, all the boats rise, because you want the best teams and all the other teams being dragged up levels. You want the 3 teams that come up from the Premier League to relegate the 3 bottom dwellers from last year that managed to hang into the division by the skin of their teeth and change the natural order of things. You want the Villas and the Forests and the Palace to build on their relative successes last year. And you want a very competitive 6 teams running for the league and seeing who can win it. And we don't want anyone winning it in February.
Yeah.
Whether that be the re-emergence of Man City will re-emerge. The conundrum I think they've got to work out, and I've always tried to defer to the footballers on this rather than steer into this area, but it's just you and me, is how they get the best out of Haaland. Now that Haaland has become a player that seems to be starved of oxygen because the ball isn't arriving where he needs it to. We'll see what that challenge, because once upon a time Haaland's the best striker in the world. Last year he came in for a lot of criticisms.
Yeah, and no Kevin De Bruyne anymore. To give him that ball, isn't it? Yeah, see what Ryan Cherky can do. All right, up next, we're going to be speaking to Nottm Sport president, the great Barry Hearn.
The Lionesses are gearing up for their homecoming celebrations today after their back-to-back Euros triumph. Sarina Wiegman's side were at Downing Street yesterday after flying home from Switzerland, but today they'll have the chance to celebrate with thousands of fans. The England boss says she's feeling a lot of love from the nation.
I feel so much respect from England and from the royal family too. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
This is her 3rd straight Euros win as a manager, her 2nd with England, and Jamie O'Hara reckons she's got what it takes to manage in the Premier League.
She's very calm, she's collected, she's done the business at the highest level. Tactically, she gets things right. She knows when to make subs. All right, in tournament football, it's different. I understand. I get that. I think that she could handle it.
Later today, England's open top bus will travel along the Mall and finish in front of Buckingham Palace before the team lift the trophy. Transfer news now, and talkSPORT understands Everton remain interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan. They're also looking at former Gooner Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak has dealt Newcastle a massive transfer blow by telling the club he wants to leave. Plus, Eddie Howe's side are in talks with Southampton over a move to sign Aaron Ramsdale. There's more on these stories at talksport.com.
10k for Coldplay.
Good morning, listen to Ade Oladipo alongside Simon Jordan. Just gone 11:30. I can't believe how quick this show's flying. With you until 1 o'clock. Remember, David Adeleye is going to join us. Big fight for him coming up against Filip Hrgovic, August 16th. Yeah, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And we're going to talk about Everton selling their women's team. There's a lot more to it than you probably think. All right, Coldplay are back at Wembley this summer, and we've got a huge VIP prize up for grabs. For one lucky listener, we're giving you the chance to win 6 tickets in a private box for you and your mates, only your mates, August 22nd, with full hospitality. Plus, we're going to be chucking in 10 grand spending money, completely tax-free as well. Here's how to enter. 18 plus, remember, UK, excluding Northern Ireland. It's simple. Just text the word WIN to 83338. That's WIN to 83338. 4th of August, 11 p.m. is the deadline, and you're in the draw. It's that simple. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network message. You must have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Coldplay Competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 7th of August. This is a TalkSport Limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio, UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. All right, it's now time to catch up with the odds with thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18plusgambleaware.org.
And I'm delighted to say that we're once again joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events.
Why are you delighted to be joined by him?
Because he's a good man. Look at him, smiles, comes, he's got his notes in front of him, he's always educated.
He's a cheeky little sod. He said to me the other day, all broken clocks are right twice.
Is that what he said to you?
I was just checking you were listening, Simon.
Did he really say that? We can cancel Matt then.
We'll see him in 10 months' time when his team are going back to the Championship.
Who do you support, Matt?
Leeds.
I'm a Leeds fan for my sins, which is why he's bringing it up.
I did like him. I was delighted until you told me that. All right, Matt, let's start with it, though. The Premier League, just 18 days away. I can't believe it. We are getting close. Give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, since we've got you, Ade, we've got to talk about Liverpool, haven't we?
We have to.
An incredible window on paper, but we were just talking, the lads in the office this morning. We wonder if the arrivals of all these high-class players, and the pending arrival of Alexander Isak, who's 1 to 4 now to sign for Liverpool, will that create any problems in the dressing room? Do you think? These guys are coming in obviously for big money. Mo Salah's just got a new contract worth X amount of thousand per week. Is he going to have to sit on the bench and watch some of these lads play for a club that he's been brilliant for in the last 5-6 years? On paper, it's really exciting. The reality, what do you think? Do you think it's as easy as Liverpool just sign a load of good players and win the league really easily? I mean, we've got it now 5, so we certainly think so. That's what the bookies are saying.
No, you're right. It's a great point. I don't think it's as easy as people think. I don't think it's a case of you sign the best players and you win the league. I think we've seen this with... I'm old enough to remember the Galacticos. You're probably not, Matt. You look like a young man. And they signed everyone and they struggled to win the Champions League. All the best players. I think there are too many new incomings.
Most recently, we've seen PSG, right? Didn't work for them when they had Messi, Neymar.
Yeah, but that's a profile. That's going from one extreme to the other. Liverpool have always signed the best players. Going back through the 70s and 80s, they signed the best players. Now, the culture of footballers have changed now because the economics have got so significant. But Slot didn't sign any players last summer. He inherited the camp that Jurgen Klopp. And the orthodoxy is that once you're on top, you strengthen. He will know why he signed these players. He will know the culture of these players. The days of going past the idea that you don't know what you're buying when you're buying 70, 80 million pound players, to make sure that the diligence is done. Liverpool are a huge football club with huge legacy, and the culture is absolutely right. This is not Man United. So these players will come in. They will not upset the apple cart because they will have been proved in terms of the ideas behind it, and it will enhance Liverpool's opportunity. So the challenge for everybody else is Liverpool are in the box seat now. If they get this kid from Newcastle, they will be in the real box seat because they've won the Premier League. They're a great side. The manager's come over and taken over from a legend that people were worried about, and now they're getting better players. People should be worried about Liverpool, not worried for Liverpool.
Love it. There you go, Matt. That's the answer you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to draw a few parallels from like summer windows. I do remember the Galacticos just about. That was actually my first game at Ellen Road, Ade. Leeds versus Real Madrid at Ellen Road. It's gone downhill since then, but I do remember that team. In terms of summer windows, Chelsea 04-05, they signed a load of good players and won the league then. Paulo Ferreira, Petr Cech, Robben, Drogba, Thiago, Carvalho. That's
not bad.
That's probably a window that we can sort of...
Yeah, I remember it. My Palace team played them second game of the season at Selhurst Park. We got promoted in the second game of the season with Jose Mourinho's. They beat us 2-0.
Okay.
Beat us 2-0.
But yeah, I mean, we've got the odds as Liverpool by far and away. But I just wondered if, particularly from a fan's point of view, if you thought it was as straightforward as sign the best players and get over the line. But
we're going to win it. It's just a case of how many points, isn't it? Famous last saying. Clip that up. All right, it's the start of a glorious Goodwood today as well. Everyone from talkSPORT is there, apart from myself and Simon Jordan. What can we expect?
Yeah, a couple of fancies from me today. The second race, Coral Vintage Stakes, like a horse called Humidity. I watched him win at Royal Ascot last month, won the Chesham pretty comfortably. I think 5-1's a pretty decent price for it all told. And then the feature race of the day, the Goodwood Cup. Aidan O'Brien has got both the fabs in the market. He's won this 2 out of the last 3 years. I actually fancy his second string, a horse called Scandinavia. I think will go by Illinois. Scandinavia for me at 3-1, won by 8.5 lengths last time out at Newmarket. So there's probably better value in Aidan's second string for this one.
Matt, top man as always. Very quickly before you go, do you think your boys stay up?
Fan-wise, I hope so. I've talked about this with Simon before. We've got to find 3 teams who are worse than us, haven't we? And we're hoping that Burnley and Sunderland will be one. And then it's who else can we drag in, right? Is it
Burnley, Sunderland, Brentford?
Brentford struggling, Wolves struggling, West Ham. It's one of those 3. If we are still better than Burnley and Sunderland, which we were last year, so I'm hoping that's certainly 2 that'll be below us. We've just got to find one more.
Don't sound confident at all there, Matt. All right, thanks for joining us anyway, my man. That was a look at all the latest odds. Thanks to BetMGM. Remember, visit BetMGM or download the app 18+, BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at BetMGM.co.uk. 18+, GambleAware.org.
Remember, across talkSPORT today, we are going to be hearing from some of the biggest names in sport at the Target Sports Star Fishing Championship. 32 competitors will be taken to the lake at Tunnel Barn Fishery in Shrewley. Where's that, Shrewley? As they battle out. Do you know what that is?
I don't. I was going to ask.
No, he will tell us as they battle out to become the 2025 champion. All of the money raised will be going to the Willow Foundation, great cause, who helps seriously ill young adults make precious memories. Luke Littler's there, Tony Bellew we just spoke to, and Barry Hearn are just some of the names in attendance. And I'm delighted to say the governor joins us now, Barry, who someone told me is actually fishing as we speak. Is he fishing? Barry, have you caught him? He is actually in there.
Yeah, we're about 6 in the net so far, mate. We've had a reasonable start, but obviously it's a 4-hour competition and the real effort will come in the last hour, but it's going reasonably well. I've got Ali Brown on my right, the Surrey and England cricketer who's bringing in some big stuff. We've got Adam Duffy right at the end who could catch fish in a puddle. And Tony Bellew, who is limping for England with his Achilles injury. But Tony is always he turns up if he had one leg, he'd still be here. It's a fabulous day out.
What fish are you catching? Gudgeon?
We're catching some F1s at the moment. A small carp to you know, and we're actually planning ahead and feeding a swim for later. So we're just about to switch from close inside to far side fishing, where we think we're going to get some bigger ones. So we're in a winnable swim. It doesn't mean to say it's going to be done. There's a lot of very competitive sportsmen and women here. I've got to tell you, they are a different class when it comes to wanting to win. So we're going to put up a good fight, as always.
As always. Barry, AJ took to social media the other day, and I loved it. It was a small post about Matchroom and the work that you guys have been doing with him since his career turned over. He spoke about the future as well, and I think it was a really nice post that he put up. What is the future for Anthony Joshua?
The future for Anthony Joshua is whatever Anthony Joshua wants. He's earned the right to decide exactly what he's going to do with his career. You know, he's not going to last forever. He's 37 years old. He's been a huge credit, and he's actually reinvented boxing almost on his own, I've got to tell you. We've had 12 years with him, and it's been, and I use this phrase sparingly because I've been in the game a long time. It's been an honour. It's been an absolute honour to represent AJ, and I think he'll have 2 or 3 more fights, I think, and then go off into the sunset.
Yeah, and you're right. He deserves to do whatever he wants to do, Anthony Joshua, doesn't he?
Of course.
I mean, what he's done for British boxing has been incredible.
And what he's done for himself, absolutely. And the benefit has been a mutual beneficial relationship for Matchroom. But Matchroom had the foresight. They grabbed him when he came out of the Olympics. Eddie and Barry grabbed him and helped shape his career. Yeah. And he was a catalyst for lots of changes.
Eddie did the work. I would have rushed in and tried to get him straight away, but Eddie was really smart. He said he said to AJ, go out and see everybody. When you've seen every top promoter in the world, come back and tell me what you think. And about 9 months later, and I was petrified we were going to lose him because I knew he was going to be big. 9 months later he came and said, I've made my mind up, I'm coming with you guys. And he hasn't changed since. He has not been one moment of problem in 12 years. And anyone involved in professional sport knows that's a very unique relationship. So we're looking forward to him finishing. You know, he's a lovely man and he's going to be an ambassador for Matchroom for the rest of his life. You know, we're a family business and AJ's part of our family.
From one star to another.
Oh,
go on.
Yeah.
Oh, have you got something? Have you got something?
No, I just lost one. Go on, carry on. It's not your fault.
From one star to another, Luke Littler, who I mean, his growth is quite similar to AJ's. He's just gone boom, hasn't he? In the last couple of years, he's now the Triple Crown holder as well. He's been incredible for darts.
It's seldom you come across any sportsman that changes the face. We've talked about AJ. Luke Littler's had the same effect, but in a really, really short amount of time. He's inspired youngsters to take up the game. He's brought in a new audience, and now I have got one on. So this is the professionalism of a BH. Bazza carries on talking whilst catching. Luke Littler has changed the game, and that one's disappeared. Usually this would be followed by bad language, but I'm under control.
Well done. Snooker season starts, or it's already begun, hasn't it? Shanghai Masters is on currently. How's snooker progressing, Baz?
It's doing really well. I mean, again, it's benefited from the Middle East boom. You know, we're in China, which has always been our biggest market, really, China overall, and that's in a way been surpassed by what's happening in the Middle East, where they're making such a big push for all sport. And snooker, we had the World Pool Championships last week in Jeddah, which went really, really well. That's a sport that's growing. And the snooker starts in about 10 days in Riyadh. So, yeah, the market's good. Snooker's in a very good place. We still need the emergence of the Luke Littler type of player in snooker, because it's still dominated by the big old names of, you know, John Higgins, Mark Williams, and of course the one and only Ronnie O'Sullivan. We need, and Judd Trump is obviously right up there. I shouldn't forget him. He's a major player. But we do need some more youngsters coming through to unsettle the old guard. It's a different sport and it takes a different application. So they'll come through, and I think most of them will be Chinese. The new world champion is a sensational player who's going to inspire millions of kids in China the same way as Luke Littler's inspired millions of kids to pick up darts. You know, Zhao Ting Tong has changed the face of his sport in China, and that will have benefits around the world for us.
Just before I let you go, Alexander Usyk against Daniel Dubois. You've been on the other end of Alexander Usyk beating your guys, Bellew and AJ. Just how good is he? You've seen so many greats, right? You've covered so many greats in the heavyweight division. Where'd you put Usyk in it?
I've got him right up there. I mean, I think he's a sensational fighter. His intelligence is what always impresses me. I mean, he can bang a bit as well, but his feet and his work and his anticipation, he's on another level. I don't want to get carried away because you're talking about great fighters, but Usyk currently is heads and shoulders above anybody in the heavyweight division. No disgrace for Daniel Dubois to get beat by a fighter of that calibre. And Daniel will go on and I'm sure have a successful career as well. But Usyk is a one-off and he's a generational great.
Barry, as are you, my man. Thank you very much. Good luck catching some fish. I mean, you had a couple there and let him go. I don't know what happened. Maybe he's not as good as he thinks he is. You just mentioned Luke Litter there. He'll be on Drive with Andy Goldstein and Gabby Egbonlahor a bit later from 4 o'clock. All right, you're listening to Oladipo and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Up next, we're going to stick with boxing. We're going to be joined by heavyweight boxer David Adeleye. Good morning, Ade Oladipo Simon Jordan, just coming up to 12 o'clock. It's an all-American TalkSport Daily podcast takeover today. In this special edition, we're joined by Akam Barak for a look into the world of American heavyweights.
It's not just the eyeball test anymore. No. You have to prove it against credible opponents. And I honestly, I would have to spend a week going through footage of heavyweights prospects. Maybe there is somebody out there, but right now, contending on a level where it'll come across my desk, I haven't seen anybody that'll beat or Alexander Usyk or Caballero. Not right now. Barack, as much as I like to bet, there's nothing being bet on this one. I'm not doing it.
Interesting. That's all in today's edition of the TalkSport Daily podcast. It's available on the TalkSport app or your favourite podcast provider. But in terms of British heavyweights, and a man that I know is going to be wanting to be in that conversation the next sort of 12 to 18 months, that man is David Adeleye, who has a big fight August 16th. He's taking on Filip Hrgović, who came off that good win against Joe Joyce. Yeah. This surprised me when I saw this. I have to be honest with you. I was like, oh, Adeleye versus Hrgović.
I think it's a great fight.
Great matchup.
I think Adam Booth thinks it's a great fight as well. I think Adam Booth thinks this is the big question mark now that David needs to answer. Yeah. I think they were a little bit disappointed, both of them, in the Jamie TKV performance. Yeah. And Adam now wants to see the uptick from David to merit the plans that they have for him. Yeah, I saw a great fight for David.
Indeed. I saw Adeleye a few days ago and I said, look, you win this one, you're at the top table of the heavyweight
Absolutely.
division.
A whole different set of rules now from the person that lost to Fabio Wardley. He's back in the groove. He's back in with an opportunity. And Filip Hrgović is going to be a great fight for him.
All right, I believe we are joined now by David Adeleye and his trainer, Adam Booth. Morning, gents.
Morning.
Well, Adam looks like he's about to go to the heavyweight division as well. He looks in shape, doesn't he?
Yeah, man. We're all training over here, all of us, just in case.
I tell you what, you try taking him on the pads and realise what you have to do just to be able to get through the days.
Indeed. David, I don't know if you just heard us there saying about this Hrgović fight. And look, I've openly said this to you. I said, you win this one, I mean, you're there, right? It's the heavyweight division. You're at the top table of it. I know you don't want to put that type of pressure on yourself, but you do understand 100%. Sort of what it means going into this fight, don't you?
100%, and no, there's no pressure. So I signed up for. A fight's a fight, don't matter who it is. But what you said is no lie. So, once I've beaten Hrgović, it puts my name in the mix with the boys at the top of the road.
There was some talk, and Adam, you can jump in on this one, where we thought we were going to get the Jimmy TKV rematch for the British title, and it all seemed to be systems go for that one. When did this one come across the table, and was there any hesitation at all about maybe not yet this one, or we just jumped straight into it?
The Jamie TKV was going to be the rematch was going to be the fight until I had a call to say that Queensberry have asked for a list of 5 big name opponents that we'd be interested or that we'd take the fight with them, and I gave them a list of 5, and Filip was one of the names on that list, and he was the one that they immediately threw back at me. So of course I was going to take a World Cup semi-final over a National League match
over a round of 32.
Where do you think, Adam, where do you think Hrgović is now? Obviously, we've seen him get dealt with by Daniel Dubois and then come back and beat Joe Joyce. What's your assessment of the Hrgović scenario, full stop?
I think his ranking definitely reflects where he is and where his status deserves to be. Remember, yes, he lost to Daniel, who knocked out AJ, but he also beat Joe Joyce, who knocked out Daniel Dubois and Joe Parker. So his name absolutely deserves to be up there as, if not the next mandatory challenger, pretty much there. So that, every fight is risk over gain, and the game for David, whose career trajectory is complete opposite to Filip Hrgović, is right there in front of him, and he has an opportunity that he can seize with both hands.
Do you think, without ignoring David for a second, but focusing on you, Adam, do you think we've got to see a different David than the one that fought Jamie TKV, or is it styles will make fights?
Oh no, I dream of seeing the David that I know he can be, and he's the type of fighter where if there's no stress or fear in front of him, there's the complacency sets in and he underperforms. But as soon as there's fear or stress in front of him, should I say, then he seems to be raising his game on a daily basis. Everything this time round is so much better than it has been before. It's almost incomparable, and I'm excited about the opportunity he's got in front of him to put on the right performance and the right fight against Philip.
David, this is an awkward question because Adam Booth's right next to you, but what's it been like? Obviously, you guys still are very new with each other in the boxing game, right? They always say it takes a while for trainer and fighter to get in sync. What's it been like under the tutelage of Adam Booth?
It's been good. It's been very good. He's changed me completely as a fighter. I think my body shape's changed. I say small things, like even my walking's changed. He's making me do different things that I never really did before. And it goes back to what I said when I first joined Adam. You know, when I first joined him, he made me do certain things just to see my athleticism. You know, he wanted to see who I was outside of the ring. It wasn't just about get in the gym and let's see what you do in boxing. He was just taking me through different sort of things, and some of the things didn't really make sense, but I already knew that he obviously had a plan and he wanted to see how I do certain things, to see how it can transcend into my boxing. So it's been very good. You know, some people get married after 6 months and end up being together for 30 years. Some people be together 15 years and you get married 6 months. You know, I suppose time doesn't really prove anything. It's just how you are as people.
It's nice to hear that, by the way, because honestly, if you'd seen some of the looks he's given me over the recent training sessions, you think he hates my guts. Just last night, I went to say goodbye to him after a sprint session. Oh my Lord, it was horrible.
Is there an ambition, David? You beat Hrgovic. Can you see yourself fighting Fabio Wardley again and correcting that outcome in terms of the trajectories you two guys are going on? Fabio is going in one trajectory after beating Justice Hooney. You beat Hrgovic. Is there a situation where that fight makes any sense in the foreseeable future, or is it different trajectories, full stop?
Yeah, no, definitely. I got to right that wrong, and I think once I go in there again with him, I'll be able to show him what I should have done the first time round. But you know, I got the know-how now, and I got the people in my corner that can help better me as well. But I leave everything to the coaches, the management. I do my job, they do their job. I think once I've beaten Hrgovic, I'll be in a good position. I know obviously Fabio's in a good position. We'll just have to see when that fight, it's not if, it'll be when that fight's made.
Adam, what kind of fight do you think the Hrgovic fight's going to be?
Challenging.
Yeah.
A shoot? Is it going to be a shootout?
From the get-go, challenging. It's heavyweight boxing. Any fight between two heavyweights who can punch can end up being a shootout. We know that David's strong. We know that David can whack at world level. And we know that Philip is fearless and competitive and always looks to land that right hand. So it certainly makes for potentially a juicy, exciting start to the fight.
The top table of heavyweight division is right now governed by Alexander Usyk. Again, this is a question to both, really. You would have watched it. I don't know if both of you were there, but you would have watched it. What do you make of Alexander Usyk? I mean, we've seen some really impressive fighters, but this guy seems to have a skill set of everything combined, doesn't he? He's got now very good power. He's got great movement. He talks about the way in which he lives his life outside the ring as well. What did you make of that performance?
Generational fighter. I think he's one of them people that come once in a generation. You know, the proof is in the pudding. He's done everything he possibly can. He's just doing it to kind of do it again and again and again. It's a good fighter.
At the age of 38, he showed something in a way that he hadn't shown before. He knew that Daniel was going to be much more aggressive from the get-go, and he met fire with fire. He bit down and punched harder and was more aggressive in the little exchanges. Yes, he had his gliding left and right style, which made it difficult for Daniel because Daniel kept throwing straight shots. And when you've got somebody gliding out on angles, you need to be leading with hooks. Where Daniel was leading with the straight shots, he allowed Usyk to perform his normal rhythm, but Usyk also knew that because Daniel was going to be more aggressive, he needed to get his respect, because ultimately at that level, the only thing fighters respect is if you can hurt him. And my word, at the age of 38, having shown what we thought he could do in every element, he showed something new, and that just sets him apart so much.
And final one for you, David. Obviously, look, you've had the Riyadh season experience before. In terms of the result, it was a bad experience, but you know there's so much that goes on out there. Do you feel like the experience of being out there and all the media activities and everything else you have to do will help you this time round?
Definitely, you kind of know what to expect, don't I? You know, the first time round was like a big old pantomime, so it was like it was the first one as well, wasn't it? So they're kind of finding their feet, finding out what to do and whatnot. I've been there enough times now to kind of understand what's going to happen, and I think obviously they've done it enough times to know how to kind of operate this time round. So it's all good. By the end of the day, it's not about them, it's about me. Whether or not they do the same thing, it's about how I take it and how I move forward and how I prepare. So control the controllables.
Well done. Good luck, gents. Should be a good one. David Adeleye versus Filip Hrgovic, August 16th, part of Riyadh season. Should be a fantastic. I remember main event for that one is Moses Etauma versus Dillian White. All right, this weekend, what was you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say, if he beats Hrgovic, who's ranked number 2 in the WBO, Toma's ranked number 1, Parker's the interim, there's some interesting, massive opportunities for David. This is a massive fight for him. And I really like Adam. You know I like Adam. Yeah. You know, he went to school with me and was the year beneath me.
I like what he said as well, but the analogy of an FA Cup. Do you take a semi-final? Do you take the last 32?
Absolutely. He said that himself. You know, when I said to him, hang on, didn't you have a moral obligation to fight Jamie TKB after all the fiasco that was there last time? And he went, yeah, fantastic about the morality. This is a business. Yeah. And the opportunity came up to fight Filip Hrgovic. What am I going to do? Turn it down? You
don't turn it down, do you? All right, this weekend, a WBA world title shot is within reach for Oscar Duarte and Kenneth Sims Jr., who will seize victory in Chicago, Illinois. Big fight, this one. You can watch it this Sunday, live only on DAZN. Make sure you go to DAZN.com/boxing to sign up.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
All right, up next, we're going to look at how Everton have become the latest Premier League side to sell their women's team. More on that when we come back.
Lionesses are gearing up for their homecoming celebrations today after their back-to-back Euros triumph. Sarina Wiegman's side were at Downing Street yesterday after flying home from Switzerland, but today they'll have the chance to celebrate with thousands of fans. The England boss says she's feeling a lot of love from the nation.
I feel so much respect from England and from the royal family too. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
This is her third straight Euros win as a manager, her second with England, and Jamie O'Hara reckons she's got what it takes to manage in the Premier League.
She's very calm, she's collected, she's done the business at the highest level. Tactically, she gets things right. She knows when to make subs. All right, in tournament football, it's different. I understand. I get that. I think that she could handle it.
Later today, England's open top bus will travel along the Mall and finish in front of Buckingham Palace before the team lift the trophy. Transfer news now, and talkSPORT understands Everton remain interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan. They're also looking at former Gooner Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak has dealt Newcastle a massive transfer blow by telling the club he wants to leave. Plus, Eddie Howe's side are in talks with Southampton over a move to sign Aaron Ramsdale. In Rugby League, Super League clubs have voted to add 2 more teams to the competition for the 2026 season. The proposal, which is subject to conditions, will see the division expand from 12 to 14 clubs. Moving on to rugby union, Gary Ringrose has been ruled out of the British and Irish Lions' third test against Australia on Saturday as he continues to recover from a head injury. The visitors are currently leading the series 2-0. If they can get the hat-trick, will this squad go down as legendary, Joe Marler?
It's hard because the opposition was so poor. The first test was just... It was like, oh God, this isn't a test series. You want them to have a bit more bite about them. But if they 3-0 whitewash them, they'll go down in as one of the best. Yeah.
There's more on these stories at talksport.com.
Good afternoon, you're listening to Ade Oladipo and Simon Jordan. It's just gone 12 o'clock midday. Peterborough boss Darren Ferguson's going to join us.
Is he?
A bit later, yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Working for Darren McAntony. I've known Darren for years and years and years and years. He used to live in Marbella.
Who?
Darren McAntony.
You guys are good together on. You should come on more.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
What's going on here? There's more to that story.
I like to look upwards, not downwards.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Slight digs.
Don't spend much
Feel
time
free
looking
to
at
phone
League
in anytime you want on this. But yeah, Darren Ferguson's going to come. Obviously, look, the Posh finished 18th last season. 4th the season before. Where are they going to finish this season? I don't know what the expectations are for them. All right, I believe the parade is just about to get underway, and it's going to be a good victory parade as well for England, who beat Spain in the European Championship. Back-to-back championships for Serena Wiegman and the girls. Let's cross over now to the Lionesses parade. Well, Adrian Durham is there at the start line. Adrian, when I went to you about an hour ago, it was busy. It looks like it's got exponentially busier.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Thousands and thousands are here. There's a big band that's just on the mall behind me. You might be able to see they've just played Sweet Caroline. It's whipped the crowd up into a frenzy. They were singing their own words to it, Sweet Adjumang, as you can imagine. The way to my right, just out of shot, and you might be able to see it in a second, yep, there's 2 open-top buses. The England players have just arrived in big buses, got off those buses onto the open-top buses, and they're there on board, on top, and just soaking up all the love and glory from the England fans. We're just waiting for those barriers to be moved, and then the buses will be on their way down the Mole and towards Buckingham Palace, when there will be a celebration down there. But it's a real big atmosphere. It's huge on the Mole. Everybody's absolutely loving it, and I think the players are loving it as well. I think at one point they thought they wouldn't have to get the tax for those buses, but they've had to renew, and they're on the roads, and they're absolutely loving it. It's just joy, total joy, as we're waiting for the buses to move on down the Mole.
How many do you think are there, roughly, Adrian? I know it's a difficult question, but I mean, it looks like there are thousands on either side of the Mole there. What if you had to guess a number, what would that number be?
Wow, to put a number on it, I mean, crikey, I might be miles wrong here, but what? 3,000 or 4,000, maybe even more than that. If you go all the way down the Mall and then towards Buckingham Palace, I'm being told by the fans here it's a lot more than that. But I can only see certain depth to the crowd. Band have got going, as you can hear. They're marching up the Mall, and the barriers are coming away. We're about to see the buses go past. 2 open-top buses. On the front of them, it says European champions, and some of the girls have taken their place at the front of those buses to watch the parade, to see that journey down the Mall, and all those fans who are flanking the Mall either side as they see the buses start to move. Here they come. Remember, in a couple of years' time, there's a World Cup that they're going to be going for. This is for a second Euros in a row. Imagine if they come back from Brazil in 2 years' time with the World Cup. The absolute joy would be incredible. Chloe Kelly at the front there, one of the most popular Lionesses players from this tournament, from any tournament. They just love her. And some of them look a bit tired. Maybe they were celebrating last night.
Maybe.
Managing to raise a hand to wave. Chloe Kelly videoing everybody. Slow movement of the bus, of course. The band is already a good third of the way down the mall. Basically announcing that the bus is following them. And here they go, Georgia Stanway at the front. Fantastic. And the Lionesses players, all big smiles. The love.
We are losing connection a little bit. We're going to go back to Adrian Durham a bit later. We are going to hear from Courtney Sweetman-Kirk as well. Angelina Kelly did a fantastic job in Switzerland covering this one. He mentioned Chloe Kelly there. I mean, obviously, you're good mates with her agent.
Yeah.
Who I guess will probably think that...
Laying all kinds of claims last night to be responsible.
Can we say anything on air? Can we? Oh, what did he say?
Oh, no, I mean, Michael's obviously responsible for all the things that are wonderful that happened to Chloe, and she should be eternally grateful. And that if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have won the European Championships, according to him.
It wasn't for him,
yeah.
okay.
And that my attitude towards the dark arts of agents should be absolutely corrected, because if that was the mentality that deployed, then no one would ever win anything. Listen, he's done wonderful things with her, and they've had a great relationship, because she had a difficult period of time.
Yeah.
You know, at Manchester City, I think there was lots of challenges and relationships that were there, and it was untenable for her. She's moved on, got an opportunity, played.
Superstar, isn't she?
Yeah, and she's a good footballer.
Yeah,
you know, she's a good footballer.
Yeah, aside from all the noise around what she does outside of football, she actually can play football
absolutely
to the highest of the highest
and
levels.
So I think women's football is, as I said to you yesterday, you know, whilst I criticise, or not criticise, I observe on some of the quality of it at times. And I also don't feel the need to be browbeaten into saying that I'm a massive advocate for women's football. I'm not a massive advocate for anybody. If I like something, I like it. And there's always this sort of politically correct argument about how women's football should be patronised by men and so on and so forth. You know, and if you don't do it, then you're a misogynist. None of that's true. So I resent those sort of arguments. But I also understand the reality of women's football is a huge opportunity waiting to happen. There's no doubt it's going to happen. As I said to you yesterday, over the last couple of years, I've been in various environments with a group of H&Ws that are looking at sport and looking at the next thing to pop in sport, and the feeling is that women's football is the next opportunity. But there is also a feeling that it's got to be detached from men's, also perhaps creating, I hate to say it, but
when you say detached from men's, what do you mean?
Well, stop trading off the legacy of the football club necessarily.
Okay.
I don't mean trading off it. It's not proving advantageous for women's football. Chelsea women or Arsenal women or Liverpool women or Palace women, there's also an argument that suggests that you don't necessarily need to be associated with what people consider to be a legacy club in the men's world. For women's football, someone's going to come along and put some serious money up around women's football, because there's an opportunity now to own that space and create that opportunity. The broadcasters haven't landed right now. They're not paying for it. The Americans will probably steal a march on this. But there's a huge opportunity in women's football. I know that we've seen men's football utilising it primarily to overcome PSR situations.
That's what Everton,
which is what
just
Chelsea and Aston Villa have done, which is to find a way around their PSR. I actually think what's going to happen is you might see franchises, I hate the terminology, but understand the words, being created that aren't associated with football clubs that currently exist, creating these environments like they do in America and building out from there. And someone's going to create a format and a league and a funding mechanism that will elevate women's football and elevate the economics on it. So I think it's really an opportunity that's waiting to happen.
Well, on that, and you just touched on it there, Everton, you mentioned Chelsea because they've done it. Everton have become the latest Premier League side to sell their women's team, and some are going to and look at this, and I fully understand it's a way of circumnavigating the PSR rules.
Well, it makes you.
Why has no one else done it? Why is not every single club in the Premier League done it?
Maybe
Just to generate more money.
They don't have the PSR problems that the clubs that have done it have had to do it for. What it does do is it makes a mockery of PSR. The moment Chelsea drove a coach and horses through PSR by the circularity of ownership around hotels, but predominantly the women's football team, you know that it's a laughing stock, that PSR is dead, right? And now Everton are doing the same thing. The interesting thing is that it takes some of the value out of women's football in terms of the investability in it, because it's already been, I mean, the Chelsea women's team is probably not worth 200 or 300 million quid at this moment in time, given the fact, bear in mind that Newcastle was sold 3 years ago as a Premier League men's side for 300 million quid with associated revenues of 130 million a season from the Premier League. So I'm not being mean-spirited by saying that something's not worth something. I'm simply saying the commerciality of it right now isn't. And they've taken a lot of the oxygen out of the room. But there's a lot of people that I'm talking to, and part of a chapter in the book that I'm writing now is about the evolution of women's sports and the opportunities that exist in there, and how this is a real land grab moment and women's sport will be monetised, specifically football, far better than it is now, and it will happen. It's going to happen. It's about how quickly it happens.
Yeah, sticking with Everton, we played out a couple of clips from David Moyes yesterday, obviously not happy with the summer business, so we spoke about Everton's transfer business, and it's basically non-existent. Some good news, we're hearing that potentially Everton are interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan for the season. That's a good move for Jack.
Is it?
Of course it is.
Why is it a good move for Jack?
Because he can play regular football.
Yeah, but Jack
that's the first and foremost, regular football.
Okay, with respect to Everton, I would have thought that Jack was looking further up the league or further into Europe, of one of the elite sides in Europe. He's going from Manchester City. Yeah. He's the £100 million footballer. He's on £300,000 a week. And he's coming out of an environment which is conditioned to winning, to an environment in the last 5 years which has been conditioned to survival. Yeah. Now, we know it's a new era, and Friedkin's going to be, I think, a good owner, a better owner than Mashiri is. I think he's been relatively well received in Roma. They've got a new stadium, so there's a new dawn. Moyes has stabilised it. He's a very good manager, David. There will always be that observation about the way David plays. And I'd be interested to see, because the argument at West Ham was that he ran out of road because they played a certain way. David elected to play that way. He knew that the people that he worked for and the fans that he worked with or for didn't like it. There were other players that got brought in that had talent to be able to do a more expansive way of playing. Kudos and other players that were in there. Didn't work, but he didn't use them.
No.
So why is he going to use Jack Grealish in that way? Because that's not really David's style of football. Grealish has morphed into a better player in terms of more of a team player, works harder.
Yeah, he's not what he was before, which was just a one-man band at Aston Villa. He's now certainly...
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching him a couple of years ago, working working back and tracking back and showing the things that I didn't think Jack Grealish would show. But listen, you can never say never. And I'd be amazed if Everton can't afford to buy players, yet can afford a significant slug of a huge salary.
Yeah.
And Jack Grealish is, I know that we had some of the players that came in under Carlo Ancelotti that were highfalutin players that ultimately came in and Everton were a better side as a result of it. But I would have thought that David would want to see more money being available for players that were going to be part of the future, rather than a band-aid for
Yeah. All right, listen to Oladipo and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. Some of these stories in between breaks, by the way, absolutely fantastic. Honestly, to make a podcast themselves. Ade Oladipo, Simon Jordan in for Jim White for the week. We are talking now, and this is going to be interesting. SFA have decided to bring in aviation experts to help referees. This is obviously to help referees with regards to VAR. We have seen it before in the Premier League. So anything, and look, as far as I'm concerned, the VAR in the Premier League has failed. So why would you want to bring in?
Why has it failed?
Because it's been useless. It's awful.
Qualify useless.
Mistakes being made.
But who'd ever said it was going to be 100% correct?
They did. That's what they sold it to us on. Did they not sell it to us on that?
This is the thing that myself and Jim have regularly kicked around on this show and defended referees on, right? The characterisation of VAR was incorrectly interpreted by people like yourself and other members of the media.
Would you say it's been a success?
I would say statistically it's improved the outcomes. Okay. Would I say it's a blinding success? No, it's killed some of the spontaneity. It allowed itself to have an argument, which is basically, this is not Tron. This was not a computer game. But the public were convinced, for some reason or another, in a ridiculous set of scenarios like zero COVID, when ultimately in net zero, in terms of carbon content in this country, that you're going to have net zero in terms of decision-making processes on a football field. Human interaction was still part of it. So you were never going to get every single thing right. So the first thing you should start with is the incorrect characterisation of VAR, right? Which is, we knew it wasn't going to be 100% right. So let's start with that. Then you have to ask the question, is what it's done worth what you've lost as a result of doing it?
And what's the answer?
And the answer to that is, right, why did we have to listen to everybody from dawn till dusk, from every football manager to football player to pundit, bitching and whining about referees' decisions, knowing that the way that the game is scrutinised 360 degrees, 24 hours a day, by everyone from Uncle Tom Cobley upwards, and suggesting that ultimately the referees need assistance, then we give them assistance and then we criticise the assistance that we've given them. The one thing that I agree with and everybody on is the margin's not wide enough for the argument to be won in favour of VAR.
Yeah.
But also, the big thing is the decision-making process has taken too long, so it's allowed the vacuum to be filled by the same dissenting voices that criticised referees and said they needed support, and now criticising the VAR, even though they know statistically it's better. They know that the outcomes are better as a result of it. And then rather than argue that point, what they turn around and say is, well, I want to argue the statistics. Who told you that? Well, Howard Webb told you. Well, why did Howard Webb tell you that? Because he's got a vested interest in saying it. The fact of the matter is, there are more outcomes that are better as a result of VAR. They've got to fix the silly decisions, like they've got to be automated on offside. They've got to make certain decisions.
So it's immediate, yeah.
But I always felt that VAR, and I don't know what you think, was something that referees should have called for when they needed. My understanding of what VAR was going to be, and mine might also be wrong, was referees on the field. We know that they're having a real trouble now with footballers behaving in a certain way, rolling around, simulation, the speed of the game, and the fact that they've got cameras everywhere critiquing everything they do. So they needed some assistance. Now, whether that was more officials on the field, whether it was having linesmen in each half of the field rather than having just two, and having linesmen sitting on corner, whatever they needed, it was decided that ultimately no sport should be immune to technology. Every other sport works with it. NFL works with it. Cricket
tennis,
works with it. Tennis works with it. Why should the world's greatest game not have technology? And I wrote an article in 2005 about why should the world be in the Observer about, it's not funny jumpers for goalposts. We should embrace technology.
Agreed.
And now we're in a situation where we've got technology, but the technology, we're not allowing it to go through the phases of one generation after the other to get to the point where it works. It's like, people writing off Man City last year.
It's jumped too much, though, Simon. And this is really good. The Spanish Third Division are going to introduce what they call a low-cost version of VAR, which is simply the ref going to a monitor if they feel like they need a bit more assistance in a decision.
But my point was, which I was alluding to my train of thought on, was that I thought referees would call for VAR when they needed it. So ultimately, and if they didn't call for it,
then the game carries on.
Then the game carries on. But also they get reviewed afterwards saying you've got the facilities, you don't utilise it. Actually, if the VAR had intervened when you called for it, it would have given you a better outcome than the one you got, because the one you got was wrong. And all of a sudden referees be judged by that standard. Forget what they're doing in the Spanish Third Division. That's VAR light because of the economics, not because of the technology being deployed in a different way. And the reasons why the EFL and the other leagues aren't deploying it so readily is because they can't afford it. Because it's not a case of VAR benefiting the game. It's a case of what are the cost implications.
You can't afford VAR light?
Well, you can afford VAR light, but in the instances of what the EFL have currently got, which is no VAR whatsoever, except, by the way, in the Championship final.
Yeah, which is crazy.
All other 46 games and the 2 playoff games mean less than the playoff final in terms of the refereeing standards. It's silly, and you're being deployed by a different logic. But the actual cost implications of hardwiring stadiums and the licensing fees, I think that the FA should have done a job on the Premier League, which said the Premier League should be paying for every single stadium in the country to be hardwired for a VAR at their cost, because that's the responsibility of a Super League. You know, if you want to be the president of America, stop complaining about, you know, ultimately what it costs for being a member of NATO. You're a superpower. You want to be the world's policeman. You pay the most money. That's how it works. If you want to be the Premier League and all the revenue goes to you, you support the pyramid a little bit more. They'll argue about solidarity payments, and I'll say, what about EPP and the fact you took all the compensation rights away from academy clubs when you gave solidarity payments? But they should have VAR. But on the other side of it, you've got Rick Parry and Trevor Birch saying the unique selling point of the EFL is we don't have VAR. It's real football. Now, they have to say that because otherwise they've got an old geezer with a rattle that they used to have as their advertising campaign. I think that, you know, the cost implication is too much, but it's hundreds of thousands of pounds of licensing fees.
What about the implications of fans and the moments that VAR ruin?
Well, that's it. They've got to fix the spontaneity of that. So that means the decisions have got to get quicker. Offsides have got to be automated. And they've got to bring it into the stadiums. Because I once upon a time said there's this attitude of football fans that they're entitled to know absolutely everything. And the broadcasters will go with that because it means more content for them. But there is a point where they don't need to know everything. They just want to. But having sat in football stadiums and watched referees, and the only people that don't know what's going on...
Dilly-dally for 10 minutes, and fans are out there not knowing what's happening.
It can't be right that the only people that know the least amount of the paying public are sitting in the stadium. One of the beauties of live is live. People go to concerts now because they want to see the Rolling Stones in concerts. They want to see Oasis in concert. They can listen to them on the radio or, you know, in their cars if they want to, but seeing them live, they want to see it live. And so it can't be that you go to a live event and actually you're disadvantaged from the guy sitting at home. So they've got to find a way to communicate better, i.e. whether it's on a Jumbotron or whether it's over an audio system. Culturally, I'm not sure.
Did you watch the Club World Cup where they did it?
Yes.
In the Club World Cup, the referees went to the
TV different culture. I mean,
but then they said it to the fans. They said exactly what's happening. Okay, this has been ruled out because
So and that's wonderful when you've got a tournament like the Club World Championship or the World Cup, right, where you've got a section of fans that aren't so tribalistically situated and distasteful one another that they're spending their entire time hurling hideous, offensive superlatives at one another. So you've now got a culture in football which is about football fans screaming and shouting abuse at people left, right and centre, and you expect everyone to stop and wait for the referee's decision and greet it with a round of applause. No, you're going to be heckling and booing like they do when they go to the monitor. You're going to be jeering and chanting at the referee about what he doesn't know and what he does know. And ultimately, you're going to create a culture inside VAR, which I do like transparency. I think sunlight is the best disinfectant. But all of a sudden, these guys inside the VAR, if they know everything they're saying, all of a sudden they're going to say virtually nothing.
They're going to be so fearful of the reaction to what they've just said.
Absolutely. So there's no perfect solution. But what I will say is I think that VAR can improve massively. But I do think that the biggest game in the world can't be not having technology to help better outcomes, because it ain't funny if you get relegated because someone scored a goal in the last game of the season and it's a goal that could have been disallowed.
Very true. Very quickly on this, aviation experts who are basically
high-speed analysis, isn't it?
Yeah, and under pressure, stay calm under pressure. Will it help?
Well, unless we know it can't.
Did it help in the Premier League?
What are we going to learn about semaphore? Guiding planes in. What we're supposed to understand from this is that they've got more awareness, high-speed analysis, working in pressure situations, which they're already doing anyway. And if there's something to be gained from it, it's like, I think he's a blusterer and a bluffer, and I know Bradley Wiggins does as well, which is Dave Brailsford. But this idea that the margins, the small gains mentality, if you can indeed find that there's something, a correlation between someone doing something over here that you can take and utilise over there, then why wouldn't you?
You take it.
And those that ridicule it, people that ridicule people for trying things and not being successful, people that invariably have never tried anything themselves. So why not?
Why not?
They've got bigger problems in Scottish football than just worrying about VAR, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, indeed they have. All right, up next we're going to be joined by Peterborough manager Darren Ferguson on the show. Can't believe this, but League One begins this weekend.
Lionesses are gearing up for their homecoming celebrations today after their back-to-back Euros triumph. Sarina Wiegman's side were at Downing Street yesterday after flying home from Switzerland, but today they'll have the chance to celebrate with thousands of fans. The England boss says she's feeling a lot of love from the nation.
I feel so much respect from England and from the royal family too. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
This is her third straight Euros win as a manager, her second with England, and Jamie O'Hara reckons she's got what it takes to manage in the Premier League.
She's very calm, she's collected, she's done the business at the highest level. Tactically, she gets things right. She knows when to make subs. All right, in tournament football, it's different. I understand. I get that. I think that she could handle it.
Later today, England's open top bus will travel along the Mall and finish in front of Buckingham Palace before the team lift the trophy. Transfer news now, and talkSPORT understands Everton remain interested in taking Jack Grealish on loan. They're also looking at former Gooner Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak has dealt Newcastle a massive transfer blow by telling the club he wants to leave. Plus, Eddie Howe's side are in talks with Southampton over a move to sign Aaron Ramsdale. There's more on these stories at talksport.com.
10K for Coldplay.
The England Women's Parade is starting to swell. We're going to cross back over there in a minute. Seeing the numbers there, I think Adrian Durham was wrong. It's a bit more than 3,000 to 4,000.
3,000. It's 20,000
like
people
20,000 at least. There. Hopefully, we do hear from Angelina Kelly or Courtney Switman-Kirk just to get their viewpoint from it. Again, both ladies covered it fantastically well in Switzerland, and they're going to make their way to Buckingham Palace, where again we're expecting 30, 40, maybe even 50,000 to be there. On a Tuesday afternoon. Not bad at all, is it?
In the middle of summer.
In the middle of summer. All right, Coldplay back at Wembley this summer. We've got a huge VIP prize up for grabs for one lucky listener. We're giving you the chance to win 6 tickets in a private box for you and your mates, August 22nd, full hospitality. Plus, we're chucking in 10 grand spender money as well. Here's how to enter: 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, just text the word WIN to 83338 by the 4th of August at 11 p.m. and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can post your name and number to Coldplay competition at PO Box 3190 Colchester CO2 8GP to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 7th of August. This is a TalkSPORT Limited promotion run on TalkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Tonight, Barnet are taking on Newport in the Carabao Cup preliminary rounds. The season is back already, and the TalkSPORT network are going to be bringing that to you. I can't believe football's already started.
Yeah.
Can't believe it's already. I honestly can't believe it's happening already. We are going to try and get Darren Ferguson on, Posh Manager. You're quite familiar with that club, haven't you? You've done.
Well, yeah. I mean, years and years ago when Barry was more prevalent there. He's still prevalent there now, but not as prevalent as he once was. Signed Leon McKenzie. I let Leon McKenzie go out and loan. I talked about Leon earlier on because of the Duke McKenzie link. I let him go out and loan to Peterborough. I gave him a free transfer to Peterborough. That's what I did. Gave him a free transfer to Peterborough, but put a sell-on clause on there to make sure that. Of course, when they go and sell
you make a bit of money.
Leon to Norwich, I get a whining phone call from Barry saying, "Well, look, mate, we can't be giving you this money out of this deal because we ain't got any money." I said, I gave it to you for free. You've got to pay me my 15%, Barry.
Did you get it?
Well, we can't do it. And I said, well, then don't sell him then.
Did you get it?
Yeah, of course we did.
Okay, cool. Let's welcome in Posh manager Darren Ferguson, who joins us now. Darren, appreciate you coming in. I can't believe it starts this weekend. Honestly, I can't believe the season starts. How's preparation been for you and your team?
Yeah, it's been good. As a manager pre-season, I always look at it injury-wise, try and keep everyone fit. Full squad for the start of the season. Touchwood, we're not bad. We've got 1 or 2, but we've done okay.
Yeah, I think you've done a bit more than okay. Last season, maybe not as well as you would have thought. Obviously, you finished 18th the season before 4th. What is a good middle ground? Is it just making sure that you are competitive and maybe can push to a playoff run, or is the squad not thick enough to do that?
I think in this league, well, I know in this league that we've always been very competitive. Apart from last season, we have to try and make sure we can. That's a bit of a blip. Normally we're around the playoffs. The 2 seasons previous to that, we got beat in the playoffs. So we're trying to make last season a bit of a blip. We lost a lot of good players the season before, and we have done again. And it does become more difficult. But I would expect us to be a lot more competitive this season without making any predictions. You know, as a manager, there's going to be ups and downs throughout the course of the season. So I've just got to manage that. Not get too high when we win and not get too down when we lose. That's really a big part of my job.
You've been in this role for such a long time now, Darren. You're used to sort of your best players going, but it must be disappointing when you are trying to build around those best players like Kwame Poku going. Must be disappointing. Others have left as well. How difficult is that? I mean, are you constantly knocking on Darren's door and saying that we need to replace these players, or it's just part and parcel of your best players leaving?
I think it's part and parcel of football. I think I know the club very, very well. So I've been here a long time. I've got a fantastic relationship with Dara. And unfortunately, where we are in terms of the spectrum of finances, if we don't get that promotion to the Championship, we unfortunately have to sell players, and our best players. So I have to accept that. Now, ideally, as a manager, you don't want that to happen. But if you're fully aware of the situation, then that's something that you do have to manage, and we have to try and replace these players. Also, we did offer fantastic offers to Poco, to Cipriani, to Ricky J. Jones. But the way football is, then in the last year, they would rather run that down and go on a free transfer.
How debilitating, taking you back a couple of seasons, Darren, how debilitating are the last 2 playoffs, not the season just gone, but the 2 seasons before that, where you lost the playoff semi-final in the manner you did to Sheffield Wednesday after being in control of it. You come back the next season, you finish 4th, you lose the playoff semi-finals to Oxford, I think, right?
Yeah.
Was that a knock-on effect which produced the season that you had last year?
I think it was more of a knock-on effect after the Oxford one. I think the Sheffield Wednesday one, look, could have just lost to Sheffield Wednesday in a normal sort of way, if you know what I mean, rather than the way we did. It probably would have been accepted a lot easier. But I made a decision after the Sheffield Wednesday game that I wanted to do or go in a different way in terms of go a lot younger with my squad. And that decision was made quite quickly after that game. Not in haste, but just I felt that was the right way to go. We produced a fantastic team this season after. So I think it was probably a bigger knock-on after Oxford. I knew that season we had to get that promotion to manage to keep our best players, because we did lose 4 or 5 probably the best players in the league, arguably. But that's probably had more of a knock-on effect, Simon, you know.
I was talking to Dara, I know Dara for years. I was talking to him about his relationship with you and how you seem to separate from one another when you get promoted to the Championship rather than not get promoted to the Championship. And it was trying to explain it to me. Is there any? Am I barking up the wrong tree, or is there any method to my madness there? Because you guys keep coming back to one another. There's this age-old adage that you never go back, but you guys go back and the thing works again, and then you separate again. Have I made that analysis up, or is there any substance behind it? Because I think Darren was suggesting that when you get up to the Championship, it's more challenging. I'm not questioning your ambition, by the way, or suggesting there's no ambition attached to it. But the challenge for Peterborough is always bigger by being in a Championship. Yet you have to be in a Championship to keep your best players.
No, you're absolutely correct. I would say the wheels come off when we go in the Championship, but it's so tough. I mean, there was the one time when I did keep them in the Championship, and then we got beaten in the last kick of the ball at Crystal Palace with 53 points, which is still a record for a team going down in the Championship. Then you've got to rebuild again. And then the last time in the Championship, I was the one that left. And quite honestly, I was probably needed the break. And with 15 games to go, I want to give someone else an opportunity, just probably because of the relationship I've got with Darren and the football club. And I was making mistakes. Quite honestly, I was making mistakes for whatever reason, and I needed to leave at that point. So that's the honest truth of it. And you know, as a manager, that when you're making those mistakes, it can have a knock-on effect with the players. And I just felt it was a better opportunity for someone to try and keep that team in the league.
How is it? I mean, Darren's very forthright, as you know. You can speak to him more eloquently than I can. Very passionate. How is it like working? I mean, I was the same, but different. People perceive owners that have got things to say for themselves as being meddling and over the top. How does the dynamic between you and Darren work from manager? Is there very clear delineation between who speaks when and says what and why, and who can say things about this? Because he does make observations about the players and about the team. So how does that work in your world?
Well, he's got an opinion, as you know, and that opinion is a lot of it is on social media, which I don't get involved in. So I suppose that works in a way. But with me, it's a really honest, open relationship. He'll just say how he feels and how he thinks. And then when I first managed, when I was going back, when I was only 34, I mean, I dealt with it differently then, because I would react straight away. So I would go back at him. You know, we were getting beaten Newcastle in the Championship, and he was having a go at me, and I'm like, well, we're playing Newcastle. Well, that was just the way he was. And I would react in a different way to how I would react now. So listen, after every game, there'll be a voice note. If we get beat, it'll go on, and I just leave them for 2 hours. I do. I literally don't even listen to it, and I just know it's not going to be positive. And 2 hours later, he'll text me and say, was a bit harsh. And then
different, aren't they now? Social media's become a thing. Players are on their phone, aren't they now? Social media's become a thing. Players are on their phones in the dressing room. What's been the biggest change, you think, in management in that period?
I think you're absolutely bang on. The social media has changed the world. It's totally different to when I first became a manager. And now, if you know, everyone's on their phones constantly. My players, if you walk in the dressing room, there isn't that art of having a conversation. They're just constantly on their phones, speaking to text and whatever it is they do. So that's been a big change, the social media. And that's something you do have to manage. There's no way you can ignore that as a manager. You know, if you're losing games of football, my advice to the players is generally don't go on social media, because you are going to get heavily criticised. You get criticised when you win. Whether they listen to that or not, I probably will never know. But it doesn't do them any good. So that's a big change. Managing players is I would say, at the top level, probably the main art of management now is actually you've got to get that right. The egos, the money. At my level, it's slightly different, but it is still a big part of it, managing people, because that's what you're doing at the end of the day. You're managing people, whether it's good, bad, or whatever.
You kick things off on Saturday against Cardiff. I mean, not an easy start as well, is it? Cardiff away, first game of the season. But that's League One now, isn't it? I mean, there's so many big clubs. I mean, Championship clubs, Premier League clubs in League One. I guess that's the task, right, to get out of it, knowing that there are so many big giants down in the league.
Yeah, it's the way the English league is. It's sort of a domino effect now. Premier League's getting harder. Championship the same, and then there's a knock-on effect to League One. I mean, last season you had obviously Birmingham who ran away with it, with the finances they had. But not just that, they built a really good team. They were a very, very good team. You know, it's all right saying you've got the finances, but you've got to recruit right, you've got to manage it right, and their manager did a great job. Wrexham, obviously, with the sort of momentum they've got, just carried them over the line. This year, you've got Luton, who were in the Premiership 2 years ago. Cardiff, you just mentioned. The first two games we've got are Cardiff and Luton, so we'll get a big test straight away.
Darren, wish you the best of luck, my man. Thank you very much for joining us.
Nice to meet you. Cheers, to speak to you. Thanks.
Darren Ferguson there, manager of Peterborough.
Spoke well there.
Always does, doesn't he?
Right,
yeah. He's grown, hasn't he, with it? He's grown.
Yeah.
Manager at 34.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I suppose, like the old expression, if you're good enough, then you're old enough. But experience is something you can't buy. He now has lots of experience. He knows the chairman that he works for, because he's worked for him in several incarnations. And he does a good job at Peterborough. I mean, last season, I suspect, will be a blip. I don't suspect it'll be repeated, because if it is, he probably might not be there. But he knows that territory. It's, whether, Peterborough needs to change its ownership model, or there needs to be more economics put in place if they want to kick on. There's all discussions that people probably invariably have on a daily basis. But Darrow is very focused on Peterborough, loves it. Yeah. I say to him, why, come on, mate.
Just enjoys it, doesn't he?
But he does.
Enjoys it.
He enjoys all the heart-wrenching and rewarding stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, and hopefully it's rewarding for Peterborough this season. Remember, they take on Cardiff on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. It's a talkSPORT 2. Massive
good
game.
games. Getting against Cardiff and Luton, two sides that have been relegated.
Yeah, you know what team you've got after those two games straight away, don't you?
Yeah, but also these sides are not in ascendancy; they're in descendancy. Get them early.
Good shout.
Before they get their heads.
Very good shout. That one's presented by Faker Others, in Danter, and former Scotland striker Chris Olumo will be on comms. All right, you're listening to Oladipo and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's raw deals at selcobw.com. Up next, we're going to be crossing back to the Lionesses parade in London after they won the Euros on Sunday. Good afternoon, Ade Oladipo, Simon Jordan, 10 to 1. Remember, with you until 1 o'clock. It is, who is it today? Is it Hawksby and Baker? There you go. Hawksby and Baker.
Hawksby and Baker.
Yeah, great show that is. Well, great shows, to be honest with you, on talkSPORT at the moment. All right, let's go back to the Lionesses parade. I know they have started. I can see the pictures here. Adrian Durham is there as well. He was at the start line. Aid, so you're 3,000 to 4,000 guests. We realise you're probably out by about 20,000.
Yeah, I think it was 3,000 or 4,000 when I arrived at around 10 o'clock this morning, and then we went up to. I think the ultimate estimate is going to be about 18,000 turning up to watch this, which is some turnout for the day of the week we're on for the whole of it. It's just fantastic. There were so many people here, a lot of Lionesses shirts, a lot of kids as well because of school holidays. But yeah, brilliant turnout, and everybody's loved it. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you see just over my shoulder, you might be able to see some flashing lights. That's right up by Buckingham Palace, where the Lionesses are currently soaking up all the adulation and glory. At this end of the Mall, a lot of the people have made their way back home or off to the tube stations or whatever. Just to my right is Horse Guards Road, where the 2 open-top buses were waiting behind barriers. 2 big buses turned up. All the players got off, got onto the open-top buses, and then they came out, opened up the barriers, came out. The adulation was phenomenal. The band, there was a brass band playing Sweet Caroline, which really got the crowd whipped up as well. Chloe Kelly at the front of the first bus taking videos. Of course, everybody loves her, absolutely iconic. And second bus had Serena Wiegman on, and she was loving it as well. So it was just a brilliant turnout. It's been a brilliant, it was a flash, a moment for these fans that turned out, but I think they loved every second of it.
Yeah, I mean, right now on the talkSPORT YouTube page, as you said, right now on our screen, we can see the England players on stage. I'm going to be embarrassed now by saying I don't know who the singer is, and someone's going to say, Ade, you should know who that is, and but I don't. But they look like they're enjoying themselves on stage as well.
I thought it was Heather Small.
Is that Heather Small?
I thought it was Heather Small.
Is it?
Even I knew it was Heather Small.
More your era, that's why.
Oh, that's up, you saucy snog.
In terms of the growth of the game, and that's one thing everyone comes to during England tournaments. They won it 4 years ago. They've won it now. They're one of the favourites to win the World Cup. You've watched the arc and the growth. Just how big will this get? I mean, the numbers have swelled in terms of TV audience. The numbers on talkSPORT were fantastic as well. We're starting to see the start of something just almost colossal, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Just back to Heather Small. The reason why it's Heather Small is because the Lionesses' song for the tournament they were singing in camp was Proud, which everybody knows that song. It's everywhere. And apparently Esme Morgan, the England centre-half, was really belting it out in camp. So I'm hoping that maybe she can do her own version of it. So, yeah, that's the reason why Heather Small is there singing that song, and you can understand why. In terms of the growth of the game, I mean, it's just phenomenal, really. And it helps that they're winning games, winning tournaments. I would say that actually England should have been doing this for a number of years, and you wonder why they weren't. There was a lot of politics involved under previous England managers. Serena Wiegman's come in and not bothered by any of that, and she just got down to basics and got them winning games and winning tournaments. By now, England should have won a World Cup, in my opinion, that the England women should have won a World Cup, but they haven't. And that's where the growth of the game could go absolutely into orbit, because 2 years' time in Brazil, there's a World Cup. If they come back from South America having won the World Cup, I mean, this is what it's like for a Euros. Imagine if they're champions of the world. They got to a World Cup final 2 years ago in Australia, were beaten 1-0 by Spain. England really didn't turn up for that, and they will have learnt lessons. A lot of the players will be the same. They'll have learnt lessons from that. I feel confident, more confident, going to Brazil in 2 years' time that England can bring it home.
Are they the best team in the world now? I mean, the USA will always argue and say that we're that, and Spain, and there's Germany, and there's the Netherlands. Are we watching, as we watch this parade, the best team in women's football?
It's a really great question. The reason why it's such a great... I'm not bothered. It's in a cup competition, in a tournament, it's about getting your hands on the trophy and coming good when it matters. And they absolutely did that. I saw Spain 3 times during the tournament, and for me, they were the best team. So, you know, it's about opinions. But can England win a World Cup? Absolutely they can. If they win the World Cup, can they call themselves the world's best? Yeah, of course they can.
Hey, appreciate it as always, my man. Thank you very much, Agent Durham. All right, Angelina Kelly is alongside Courtney Sweetman-Kirk at the Lionesses event outside of Buckingham Palace, and we can cross there now, ladies.
Thanks, Ade. Yes, for those watching, I'm just in front of the Queen Victoria Memorial, where the stage is set for the Lionesses. They are on the stage right now. Our captain, Leah Williamson, is talking about how much she appreciates the support, because there are thousands of fans here. Some have even scaled walls to get a better look at the Lionesses and the trophy. And I am here taking it all in with our England correspondent, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Now, Courtney, we've been here a couple of hours now. There are so many fans with England shirts, flags, you know, they've got signs for the players. As a former footballer yourself, like, how amazing does this feel watching all this?
Absolutely incredible to see this many people. It still blows my mind, and I think to obviously where the game come from to when I started out as a kid, there was no girls teams to join, so I had to start a boys team, and just that journey that we've all been through as players, it's now incredible to be at this moment. But for me, I think this is only the start. The back-to-back, obviously Euros wins, I really think that this is the start of something special for the growth of women's football.
And like I say, behind us, the Lionesses are on the stage, and it's feeling quite emotional. You can sense it in Leah Williamson's voice. Courtney, you interviewed a lot of these players, and I know that you know a lot of them personally. How will they be feeling?
Firstly, hungover, I would imagine. I think there'll be a few sore heads and looking at some of the faces in the sunglasses. I definitely think that's the case. But look, they deserve it. They deserve to celebrate. I think they'll be very emotional. Maybe the younger ones in the squad have always sort of known that this is a career path. But you mentioned sort of Leah being quite emotional. I think the older ones in the squad, not that the younger ones don't appreciate it, but they just see it from a different perspective when they've paid to play. They've had to battle to get to this point. So I think, for the older generation in the squad, this will feel just a little bit different, a little bit more special.
Yeah, it definitely will. And like I say, the Lionesses are there. I've got a little glimpse of the trophy, and I'm pretty sure that they will be lifting that high into the sky for these thousands of fans pretty soon. Back to you, Ade.
Looks pretty cool in her shades, doesn't he? Courtney Sweetman-Cook.
She's very, very good.
Like, as a broadcaster,
I've listened to her over the last couple of years and paid attention to her specifically during this tournament. Every time she's come on, she's been very pragmatic, very sensible, very honest, and a very, very good broadcaster. She's very good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, see, Simon Jordan's sniffing there, by the way, because he makes the room about -5 degrees. That's why. So tomorrow we're going to turn the temperature up a little bit. Yeah, we will. All right, up next is Paul Hawksby and Charlie Baker.
England's Golden Girls have commenced their homecoming celebrations in the capital with an open-top bus down the Mall and in front of Buckingham Palace. Up to 50,000 fans have turned up to cheer the Queens of Europe, with even some of them rocking up after midnight to secure a good spot. talkSPORT's Adrian Durham has been soaking up the atmosphere.